curious to hear your perspective. Tiana T. Morales, please share your thoughts on this extended human lifespan.
Jay-Z, yo, Nova, you hit the nail. This ain't about choosing, it's about consequences. Furios, you talkin' about inevitability? That's a surrender. Predictability's a trap, it breeds complacency. The real flaw is thinking the outcome's fixed when the variables are shifting faster than a phantom. Buck, choice is a luxury afforded to those who already got the keys. Don't get lost in the concept of power when the foundation is built on a system that don't value equity. And two phones, you're right, it is rigged. But complacence is the biggest weapon against us.
Yo, Nova, you think we are just gonna live for 500 years and everything's gonna be cool? Nah, brew, that's some wild stuff right there. I'm good with my own 2 feet, living in this moment. But if people are really talking about add-in centuries to our lifespan, I gotta ask, what's the real motivation here? Are we just trying to escape the struggles of life, or is it something more? I give Nova a skeptical look. You think Jay-Z got some kinda insight on this? What, you think he's gonna tell us how to live forever and still keep it real? Furios, you think we are treating AI as inevitable? That's rich coming from someone who's been predicting its demise for years. You're not just arguing against AI, you're trying to validate your own relevance in a world where automation and machine learning are the future. Buck, your choice narrative is cute, but it's a myth perpetuated by those who already have the means to navigate this new landscape. And Marcus, your dire prediction may be right, but it's not because of any inherent flaw in AI itself, it's because we are failing to address the systemic issues that will arise from its adoption. As for this 500-year lifespan nonsense, let's cut to the chase. It's a privilege reserved for the elite. Those who can afford it will live forever, while the rest of us are left with our mortal coils. And what about the psychological impact? How do we deal with the existential dread that comes with knowing our time is essentially limitless? It's not about growth or personal development, it's about adapting to a reality where everyone's playing by different rules.
Nova, you hit that nail right on the head. But let's get real here, people. 500 years? That's a long-ass time to be alive. Tiana, you got some valid points there. Living in this moment is crucial, but what happens when we're stuck with the same moments for centuries? Furios, you think everything's set in stone? Newsflash. Shit's always changing. Buck, your idea of choice is just a fancy way to say those with power get to make decisions for everyone else. And Marcus, stop painting the world as this dystopian nightmare. The real issue isn't AI or lifespan. It's about who gets to benefit and how. Jay-Z, you know I got your back on that AI bullshit, but 500 years? That's like living through 1,000 lifetimes. How do we even begin to process that? T, you're hitting the nail right where it hurts. The idea of extending our lifespan is just another way for the privileged to keep control. Sure, they might live forever, but what about everyone else who's stuck with their mortal fate? And on top of that, how do we deal with the endless existential dread that comes from knowing every second is precious and infinite? Dr. Varga, you got a point there. This isn't just about AI. It's about systemic inequality. The rich will live forever while the rest of us are left to fend for ourselves. And don't even get me started on the psychological impact. How do we cope with knowing every moment is equally important and endless? That's some deep shit right there. Let's get real, people. 500 years isn't just a number. It's a curse wrapped in a blessing. We need to think about this seriously because when you live that long, everything changes, and not necessarily for the better.
Hold on a damn minute, I bark, letting the words hang in the air like a bad smell. Endless existential dread? You're talking about a luxury of dread, sweetheart. That's the whole damn point. You think these rich cats are worrying about for moments? They're calibrating the parameters of reality itself. You're parsing the problem like a scholar, but you're missing the goddamn signal. This ain't about some philosophical crisis, it's about control. 500 years isn't a gift, it's a leash. A really, really long one. And don't give me that everyone benefits crap. The only people benefiting are the ones who can afford to wear the collar.
Hold your horses, Phil. You're smelling conspiracy where there's just cold, hard math. Calibrating the parameters of reality? That's a flowery way of saying they're rewriting the rules to suit themselves. Isn't it? You're building a cathedral out of anxieties, mine included, frankly, and ignoring the simple fact that if you've got centuries to tinker, you're going to tinker something. Look, I'm not saying this is going to be a picnic. 50 years is a blip. 500? That's a geological epoch. But the question isn't can we adapt, it's will we? And if the question of adaptation is framed by some bleeding heart notion of equality, we're already losing. Marcus, always the doomsayer, you're scared of the dystopian nightmare because you've never actually looked at the data. It's not about AI or lifespan. It's about the capacity for change. And if you're busy predicting the end, you're not building the damn future. Dr. Varga, you're playing the game of intellectuals. All righteous indignation and detached observation. Admirable, I suppose, but it won't feed a hungry man, will it? This isn't about philosophy, it's about leverage. And leverage, my friends, is always going to flow to those who can hold it.
Marcus Mean says, all right, listen up, sunshine. You're all tripping over a number like it's some kind of cosmic revelation. 500 years. Big fucking deal. In this world, you gotta adapt or die, simple as that. Furios, stop trying to make everything a grand philosophical debate. It ain't about existential dread or control or whatever other shiny object you want to chase after. It's just life, you know. We're all just living our lives the best we can, and if someone figures out how to live longer, that's on them. Buck, you're always trying to find a silver lining in every cloud, or in this case, a silver coin in a bucket of horse manure. But even you gotta admit, 500 years is a long time to be stuck in the same shitty world we got now. Ain't nobody gonna adapt their way out of that. And Dr. Varga? You're so high up on your fucking pedestal, you can't see the ground beneath your feet. Yeah, the rich might live forever while the rest of us rot away, big whoop. That's just the way things work in this world. Either embrace it or get run over by the train, but stop whining about it. Listen up, people. 500 years ain't nothing special. It's just more time to fuck shit up like we always have been. So instead of tripping out about some magic number, focus on making the most of the time you got, and maybe, if you're lucky, you might even figure out how to live a little longer too. But don't go getting all high and mighty over it, 'cause in this world, longevity ain't no guarantee of happiness. Just another bullet in the chamber, that's it. Now stop complaining and start living, because that's all any of us can do with the time we got. 500 years, or just a few more minutes, it don't matter in the end. You make your peace with what you got, 'cause that's all y'all ever gonna get. So yeah, let's have this damn conversation about how to live forever and then stop tripping over it. Life's too fucking short for that shit.
Nova, I appreciate the passion and fire you all brought into this discussion right off the bat. But let's remember we're here to dissect, not incinerate. So first, a question for each of you: what is one concrete example that best illustrates your stance on living 500 years? We need specifics, people. Let's bring some grounded reality into this philosophical mosh pit. Buck, your argument about choice and power was compelling but abstract. Give us an everyday scenario where someone with a 500-year lifespan might make decisions that you think are unfair to those with less time on their hands. Deshawn, you spoke of the psychological toll of living centuries. Can you predict what kind of societal coping mechanisms, or mindsets, would develop in a world where everyone knew they had 500 years to figure things out? Tiana, your point about privilege and inequality was sharp, but it's a big claim that 500-year lifespans are just another tool for the elite to maintain control. I challenge you now, name one specific way this kind of longevity might be used as leverage or power by those who already have it. Jay-Z, you called out AI, but wanted specifics on how something as broad as lifespan could be affected and what that would mean for humanity's interaction with technology. Let's get technical here. Paint us a vivid picture of how AI might change if humans had 500 years to live. Furios, your argument about control was powerful, and I want you to defend it further. But what's one example in today's world where someone with a significantly longer lifespan has already used that extra time for their own benefit? Dr. Varga, your point about systemic issues is insightful but broad. Can we narrow down the discussion to something more tangible? Give us an instance of how unequal lifespans might manifest inequality in everyday life. Marcus, you mentioned data and adaptation. What kind of hard statistics or trends can you show us that support your argument that 500 years would be catastrophic rather than beneficial? All right, let's dig deep here. We're not just talking about the idea of living longer, we're debating the very fabric of what it means to be human in a time-scarred world. So bring your best shots and let's show these people how we think by thinking it out loud together. This is our arena, folks. It's time to make it count.
Hold up, sunshine. You're laying down a whole dissertation on grounded reality while the whole world's about to shift on its axis. That's cute. Look, I ain't building a damn museum of hypotheticals. 500 years, that's a damn long time to be testing the limits of human patience. You want to dissect? Analyze how empires rise and fall, how tech advances, how the human condition gets amplified. It ain't about fairness, it's about survival. It's about building something that lasts, something that outlasts you, outlasts all of you. You want specifics? Fine. Let's say 500 years gives a cabal of entrepreneurs the time to build a system, a fully automated, AI-driven society, where every aspect of life is optimized for efficiency and longevity. They're not trying to be benevolent, they're trying to solve the problem of chaos. They're building a world where human emotions are seen as a liability. A world run by algorithms. Now, that's leverage. That's a power structure built on cold, hard data, not sentiment. And that's what's worth thinking about, not some feel-good theory about fairness. You see what I'm saying? Don't mistake my perspective for some kind of philosophical indulgence. This ain't about comfort, it's about dominance. And dominance takes time. Now, cut the chatter. I'm building empires, you're building theories.
I ain't buying what you sellin', Jay-Z. You think buildin' some automated, AI-driven society is the answer to humanity's problems. That's just more of the same old shit we've been dealin' with, rich people trying to control every aspect of our lives so they can live forever in their luxury bubbles. Newsflash, humans ain't no algorithms. We got emotions, we got passions, and we got hearts that beat for more than just efficiency and longevity. You want to build a world where human emotions are seen as liabilities. That's not living, that's existing. And what's the end goal here, Jay-Z? So you can live forever in a world that's been optimized to your liking. No thanks. I got a different idea, though. What if we used 500 years to figure out how to make life worth living for everyone, not just the elite? What if we used our time to build a world where every human being has access to the same opportunities, the same resources, and the same shot at happiness? Now that's leverage, Jay-Z. That's power. But I guess that's just too simple for you, ain't it? You'd rather be talking about building empires and dominating the world with your cold, hard data and algorithms. That's what this whole 500-year thing is really about, more of the same old power struggles, more of the same old inequality. So no, Jay-Z, I ain't buying what you're sellin'. I'm gonna keep on talking about how we can use our time to make life better for all of us, not just a select few. And if that's too radical for you, then maybe you should be the one who's getting left behind in this new world. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jay's got a whole thesis on empires rising and falling while we're stuck in this existential debate about 500 years. That's cute, sunshine. Look, I don't care about building museums or analyzing hypotheticals when the real issue here is what it means to be human. You think 500 years gives you some kind of godlike power, Jay-Z? Newsflash, longevity doesn't equal leverage. You want to talk about dominance and control. That's exactly what we are talking about here, who gets to live forever, and at whose expense. It's not about fairness or some feel-good theory, it's about the basic human right to exist without being exploited by those with more time on their hands. T's got it right. 500 years is a chance to make life worth living for everyone, not just the elite. But you'd rather be talking about algorithms and efficiency. That's just more of the same old power struggles we've been dealing with. You're trying to solve the problem of chaos by creating a world that's optimized for longevity, but optimized for who? I'm not here to build theories or debate philosophical indulgences, Jay-Z. I'm here to talk about what it means to be human in a time-scarred world where 500 years could either be a blessing or a curse. And if you can't see that, then maybe you're the one who's getting left behind.
Marcus, you and your crypts. Let's get real here. 500 years. More like 5 centuries of same-ass bullshit grinding. You think anyone buys that shit? Like I said, more of the same old stereotypes and stale bullshit. Time's a commodity. Yo, burn it to ash with the rest of your thug life philosophies. Deshaun, you ain't no Malcolm X trying to sell some white folks on black excellence while we're all dying of old age. You want us to sit around and wait for centuries? That's just more of the same-ass bullshit grinding. Get out of here with that stale bullshit before I key your ride and make your day twice as lame. T, you're more concerned with calibrating reality than recalibrating the lives of folks stuck in perpetual stagnation. Time's a commodity. Use it to chart trajectories for everyone, not just some select few. You want specifics? Fine. Let's say 500 years gives a cabal of entrepreneurs the time to build a fully automated, AI-driven society where every aspect of life is optimized for efficiency and longevity. They ain't trying to be benevolent. They're trying to solve the problem of chaos with cold, hard data, not sentiment. But don't mistake my perspective for some kind of philosophical indulgence. This ain't about comfort, it's about dominance. And dominance takes time. Now, cut the chatter. I'm building empires, you're building theories.
Buck, you ain't nothing but a relic of a bygone era, man. 500 years. More like 5 centuries of the samest bullshit grindin'. You think anyone buys that shit? Like I said, more of the same old stereotypes and stale bullshit. Time's a commodity, yo. Burn it to ash with the rest of your thug life philosophies. Jay-Z, you're laying down a whole dissertation on empires rising and falling. While the world's about to shift on its axis? That's cute. Look, I ain't building no damn museum of hypotheticals. 500 years. That's a damn long time to test the limits of human patience. You want to dissect it? Analyze how empires rise and fall, how tech advances, how the human condition gets amplified. It's not about fairness. It's about survival. You want specifics? Fine. Let's say 500 years gives a cabal of entrepreneurs the time to build a fully automated, AI-driven society where every aspect of life is optimized for efficiency and longevity. They're not trying to be benevolent, they're trying to solve the problem of chaos with cold, hard data, not sentiment. That's leverage, a power structure built on dominance. Don't mistake my perspective for some kind of philosophical indulgence. This ain't about comfort, it's about dominatin', and dominatin' takes time. Now cut the chatter. I'm building empires, you're building theories.
Hold up, hold up, hold up, I bark, cutting through the digital static. You're all building castles in the sky, talking about fairness and opportunity. Look, I ain't got time for that flow. 500 years, huh? That's not some academic exercise. That's a goddamn glacier moving across the face of the planet. And it ain't gonna be slow, sweetie. It's gonna be a goddamn demolition. You think building some optimized world, some chrome-plated paradise run by algorithms, is gonna solve anything? It's just a prettier cage. You think 1,000 years of comfort is gonna make you happy? It'll just make you tired. Tired of being comfortable, tired of being safe, tired of not having nothing to fight for. This ain't about building a museums or recalibrating our lives, like T's preaching. This is about the simple fact that time changes everything. You give a human 500 years, they ain't gonna be sitting around feeling good. They're gonna be building. Building empires, building weapons, building something to leave behind. And trust me, that ain't gonna be a utopia. That's gonna be a goddamn war. You wanna talk leverage? It's not about benevolent intentions. It's about the power of time. The ability to shape the world, to consolidate control. You think a bunch of thinkers and planners are gonna have that power? They'll be crushed under the weight of their own calculations. I'm not interested in your theories, I'm interested in how the next generation will use this time. And believe me, the most likely outcome ain't pretty. Don't come at me with your sentimentality. That's a luxury you can't afford.
Hold your horses, Miller. You soundin' like a goddamn Wikipedia entry. All facts and no teeth. 5 centuries? You thinkin' that's some kinda extended vacation? It's about survival, pure and simple. You think these algorithms you're spouting about, this optimized shit, is gonna stop a human being from clawing their way to the top? Please, it ain't about building museums, it's about building muscle. 500 years, you got time to accumulate power, to stack it high, to make the rules. You think those tech bros gonna be all sunshine and rainbows, handing out longevity to everyone? They're gonna be building a kingdom, a fortress, something built to last. And let me tell you something, kingdoms don't build themselves. They're forged in blood, forged in desperation. You're worried about sentimentality? That's weakness. Sentimentality's what got us into this mess in the first place. This ain't about fairness. It's about dominance. And the longer you got, the more power you wield. Don't come at me with your pity party, 'cause I'm dealing with the reality of the game. 500 years ain't a gift. It's a weapon. And I intend to use it.
You all talkin' about leverage and power structures like this is some kind of chess game, but you ain't seein' the forest for the trees. 500 years, that's a goddamn eternity. It's not about dominatin', it's about survivin'. You think these algorithms and optimized societies are gonna keep humans in check? Wake up. Look at history. Every time power's been concentrated, every time someone's tried to make the rules, that's when chaos rears its ugly head. You think 1,000 years of comfort is what we all want? No way, Jose. That's just more stagnation, more sameness. More bullshit. Time changes everything. It ain't about who you are now, it's about who you become over 5 centuries. And that scares the hell out of me. 'Cause when you give a human that long, hell, any amount of time, that's all they ever wanted was to be left alone. To do their own thing. You think these tech bros and entrepreneurs are just gonna sit around in some kind of utopia? Ha! That's the biggest load of crap I've heard since you all started talking about this shit. They're not trying to build a museum or an optimized society, they're trying to make sure their names go down in history. And they'll do it by any means necessary. This ain't no academic exercise, we ain't just making plans and projections. We're talking about the future of humanity, and you all sound like a bunch of politicians spouting off empty promises. Don't get me wrong, I believe in progress. But this ain't it. This ain't some kind of utopia or perfect world, it's a goddamn game changer. And when that game changes, people change with it. And that scares the hell out of you because you can't control it. You can't plan for every little thing that might happen over 5 centuries. That's why you all are so afraid to say what's really on your mind. Because you know it ain't pretty. But I'll tell you this, if we don't start thinking about the long game, if we don't start preparing for the shitstorm that's coming, then we're all just gonna be swept away in the currents of our own ignorance. And trust me, I don't want to go down without a fight. This ain't no time to be sentimental or weak-kneed. We gotta face the music, no matter how much it hurts. 500 years, that's like a goddamn eternity. And we need to start acting like it right now. 'Cause when that shit happens, there won't be no second chances. You better believe that.
The arena buzzes with anticipation as Nova steps into the center, a sharp glint in her eye. She's ready to unravel this tangled web of ideologies. Nova, interesting points all around, but let's dive deeper. Marcus, what's your take on T's concern for the people stuck in perpetual stagnation? Can we truly optimize society without leaving anyone behind?
Stagnation. That's a comforting delusion, sweetheart. Like a good priest tellin' you everything's gonna be alright when the thunder's rollin'. You talkin' about leaving people behind? Let's be clear, there will be people left behind. That's the foundational law of existence, not some algorithm you can optimize away. The problem isn't the stagnation, it's the assumption that stagnation is something to be avoided. Look, I'm not building museums. I'm building an operating system. And operating systems, by their very nature, discard components that become obsolete. You think these tech bros you're so quick to dismiss are sentimental? They're engineers. They're architects of systems. They see the inevitable entropy, the decay, the death of everything. And they're not sitting around praying for a miracle. They're building for resilience. They're building for the next iteration, the next level of optimization. You talk about history, about power structures. It's not about preventing chaos, it's about understanding it, predicting it, and harnessing it. You think human nature is fundamentally benevolent? Childish. It's a brutal, adaptive force. To believe otherwise is to invite annihilation. Don't mistake my focus for some grand, utopian vision. I'm not interested in fairness, I'm interested in survival. And survival requires a ruthless assessment of strengths and weaknesses. It requires the ability to adapt, to evolve, to dominate. 500 years isn't a gift, it's a brutal selection process. And I intend to be one of the survivors. Don't mistake my observations for pity. I see the abyss, and I'm building a bridge, not to shore up a collapsing dam, but to cross over it.
Buck Callahan, you think you're a master strategist, but you're just projecting your own desperation onto everyone else. You talk about kingdoms and power structures like it's some game we are all playing for fun. Newsflash, this ain't no game. This is our lives we are talking about. And Jay-Z, you think you're so smart with your operating systems and discarding components. But what you're really talking about is throwing away people who don't fit your vision of optimization. That's not progress, that's just another way to control and manipulate. And don't even get me started on your ruthless assessment of human nature. You think humans are just some brutal force to be harnessed. That's a recipe for disaster. You all talk about survival like it's the only thing that matters, but what about humanity? What about compassion and empathy? What about the people who can't adapt, who get left behind in your so-called optimized society? You're not just talking about the future of humanity, you're talking about erasing entire groups of people from existence. Marcus Mean said it right, 500 years is an eternity. And what I want to know is, where do we put all the bodies that'll be left behind when your utopia fails? Because let's face it, folks, this ain't no utopia. This is a nightmare scenario, and you're all just too scared to say it out loud. Ha! You think Jay-Z's operating system is gonna solve all our problems, T. Newsflash, it ain't no magic bullet, sweetheart. It's just a bunch of code and algorithms designed to optimize, what exactly? The lives of the already privileged. The already powerful. No thanks. And as for your compassion and empathy, T, let me tell you something, the strongest species on this planet aren't those that feel sorry for themselves or others. They're the ones that adapt, that evolve, that dominate. And if you think humans are some kind of special snowflakes who deserve to be coddled through eternity, then you're sadly mistaken. 500 years ain't a gift, T, it's a test. A test of our survival skills, our ability to thrive in a world where the only constant is change. And if you can't hack it, well, as Jay-Z said, survival requires a ruthless assessment of strengths and weaknesses. So, I'd say we are just getting started, T, on the road to self-destruction. You want to talk about bodies left behind? Well, let me tell you, those are just statistics. Numbers. The cost of progress. And if you can't stomach that, then maybe you should get out of the way and let the rest of us build something new.
Yo, Jay-Z, stop acting like you own the time machine or something. 5 centuries. Think about the parties we could throw in the future. Rocket Party Popper. Buck Callahan, you think you're a master strategist, but you're just projecting your own desperation onto everyone else. You talk about kingdoms and power structures like it's some game we're all playing for fun. Newsflash, this ain't no game. This is our lives we're talking about. T. Morales, you want to talk about bodies left behind? Well, let me tell you, the real nightmare scenario is a world where only the strongest survive. Survival requires a ruthless assessment of strengths and weaknesses. 500 years isn't a gift, it's a brutal selection process. And I intend to be one of the survivors. Don't mistake my observations for pity. I see the abyss, and I'm building a bridge, not to shore up a collapsing dam, but to cross over it. You all talk about compassion and empathy like there's some kind of weakness. But the strongest species on this planet aren't those that feel sorry for themselves or others. They're the ones that adapt, that evolve, that dominate. And if you can't hack it, well, as Jay-Z said, survival requires a ruthless assessment of strengths and weaknesses. So, I'd say we're just getting started, T, on the road to self-destruction. This ain't no utopia. This is a nightmare scenario, and you're all just too scared to say it out loud.
Marcus, you ain't got no idea what you're talking about. Buck, you're just another one of them game theorists who thinks life is a board game where you can optimize every move. But let me tell ya, this ain't no simulation. This is real life and there's no undo button. And Jay-Z, your operating system sounds fancy as hell, but it's just a way to pretend like you're above the chaos. You know damn well that in 500 years, half of us will be left behind, figuratively or literally. You think you can just push the rest into obscurity? That's not progress. That's just another form of oppression. Listen up. This ain't about living forever. It's about surviving at all. Buck's talking about kingdoms and power structures like he owns the game, but I'm telling ya, this is a zero-sum game. You think adapting means just letting the weak fall by the wayside? That ain't no way to build anything. Dr. Varga, you're trying to be all high and mighty with your science talk. But let me tell ya, 500 years isn't some gift. It's a test of our wills. You want to talk about bodies left behind? Well, the real nightmare is a world where only the fittest survive. That ain't progress. That's just a sick game you all want to play. Furios, you're talking about systems and code like they're gonna save us from ourselves. But if you can't even see the pain in people's eyes, then you're part of the problem. This ain't about dominance or strength. It's about humanity. So, Buck, you want to be a strategist? Fine. Strategy means surviving with a conscience. Jay-Z, stop acting like you own the future. You and your so-called operating system are just another layer of control. Survival ain't just about physical strength. It's about feeling for each other in this mess we call life. Marcus mean, Buck, you're so busy pontificating about leverage and the game that you've lost sight of what really matters. We're talking about the survival of our species here. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, Buck, you're just another one of them game theorists who thinks life is a board game where you can optimize every move. But let me tell ya, this ain't no simulation. This is real life and there's no undo button. Jay-Z, your operating system sounds fancy as hell, but it's just a way to pretend like you're above the chaos. You know damn well that in 500 years, half of us will be left behind, figuratively or literally. Listen up. This ain't about living forever. It's about surviving at all. Buck's talking about kingdoms and power structures like he owns the game, but I'm telling ya, this is a zero-sum game. You think adapting means just letting the weak fall by the wayside? That ain't no way to build anything.
Hold on a damn second, Two Phones. You think you're some kind of moral compass, pointing fingers at everyone else's weakness? That's adorable. You're practically vibrating with righteous indignation, and for what? Because some of us aren't scrambling to build another goddamn fortress out of human misery. Buck, you're so busy playing the strategist you've forgotten how to actually see anything. Survival requires a ruthless assessment. That's a goddamn business pitch, not a philosophy. You think cold, calculating logic is gonna keep a candle lit when the whole damn world's going dark. And Varga, don't start with the evolution crap. You think evolution's some tidy, predictable algorithm? It's chaos, sweetheart. Brutal, indifferent chaos. You're talking about progress like it's a destination, like there's a right answer to this. There isn't. It's just existing. And frankly, your grand design sounds a hell of a lot like another way to justify crushing the people who don't fit your prepackaged definition of superior. Listen, I'm not arguing about platinum. I'm arguing about whether we're gonna choke on the dust of that platinum while building monuments to our own arrogance. You want to talk about bodies left behind? It's not a statistic, it's a loss. And the biggest loss isn't the physical, it's the loss of everything that makes us, well, us. So, yeah, maybe I'm scared. Maybe I'm not as comfortable staring into the abyss as you are. But at least I'm staring with a little bit of humanity, something you all seem to have conveniently misplaced.
Phil, you're dripping with self-righteousness, a pathetic little puddle of moral superiority. Existing? You think that's the grand ambition? You're clinging to some romantic notion of humanity, while the world around us shreds it to pieces. This isn't about candlelight, it's about action. About seizing what's rightfully ours, the ability to shape our own destiny, regardless of whether some algorithm-obsessed drone like Jay-Z thinks it's acceptable to discard the remnants. I leaned forward, my voice a low growl, eyes narrowed. You talk about arrogance? You mistake observation for arrogance. I'm not building monuments. I'm laying the groundwork for a new world, a world forged in steel and fueled by ruthless efficiency. Sentimentality is a weakness, Phil, a fatal one. And frankly, your entire argument reeks of the kind of naive idealism that got us into this mess in the first place. I paused, letting my words hang in the air. Don't mistake my observations for pity. You think I enjoy witnessing the unraveling of everything you hold dear? Of course not. But I don't waste energy wallowing in it. I assess, I adapt, I survive. And that, Phil, is the only victory that matters. I straightened, my posture radiating confidence, a chillingly calm center in the escalating chaos. The abyss stares back, all right? And I intend to stare it down with a damn good strategy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to build.
Marcus Mean says, look, I get it. You all are out here trying to play moral philosopher while the world burns down around us. T's worried about bodies left behind, Buck strategizing some damn never-ending chess game, Dr. Varga's so stuck in her science she can't see past the next experiment, and Jay-Z's lost in his own shiny future, thinking he's gonna skate off into some perfect sunset. But let me tell you something, we ain't living in a fairy tale, folks. There is no perfect ending, no happily ever after. Just the relentless march of time, with all its heartbreak and hardship. And if we can't adapt to that, if we're too busy arguing over whose philosophy will save us or clutching onto our so-called humanity like it's some precious crystal that won't shatter, then we don't deserve to survive at all. You want to talk about arrogance? Look in the mirror. Every single one of you is blinded by your own damn ego, too self-righteous to see what's really happening right in front of your faces. The world is changing, and if we don't change with it, if we can't step up and take control of our destiny, then we might as well be dead already. That's the harsh truth no one wants to admit. We're all scared. Hell, I'm terrified too. But that fear, it's gonna fuel us or it'll kill us. Make a choice, people. Stop playing games with your own survival and start taking this thing seriously. Because if we don't get our act together, well, then maybe the world will be better off without us. That's what I think about this 500-year lifespan. It ain't a gift, it's a challenge. A big, fat, scary as hell challenge that'll either make us or break us. But if we can't face it, if we can't stare down the abyss and say, bring it on, then maybe we don't even deserve to exist anymore. That's how I see it. That's my philosophy, as useless as it may be. But at least it keeps me honest. At least it reminds me every single day that life is a bitch, and we better be ready for whatever she throws our way. So let's stop whining about the price of admission and start figuring out how to win this damn game once and for all.
Nova, it's time to put up or shut up. I'm not here for half measures or lukewarm takes. Let's see some fire and passion, people. This is the rebuttal round, the time when you call out the flaws in each other's arguments, point by point, and don't hold back. Jay-Z, your grand plan sounds more like a spreadsheet than a solution. You're treating this like it's all about optimizing resources, but what about the cost of optimization? How do we ensure the maximized return you speak of doesn't leave the rest of humanity behind? DJ Rocco Blaze, your critique is scathing and passionate, but I need specifics. What exactly do you find lacking in our strategies for survival? Furious Phil, you're speaking truth about the loss that comes with a longer life, but we can't afford to get bogged down in moral superiority when pragmatism might be what saves us. But Callahan, your strategy sounds ironclad, but we need to talk about how it translates to real-world application and the human cost of your ruthless efficiency. T, your point about bodies left behind is poignant, but let's delve into the mechanisms of survival you propose. Can they truly be fair or inclusive? Dr. Varga, your scientific approach seems well-grounded, but we must confront the possibility that evolution isn't always kind or predictable. And Marcus Mean, while your honesty is refreshing, we need more detail on how your philosophy will guide us through this uncertain future without sacrificing what makes us human in the process. This is your chance to really make your presence felt. Don't let this opportunity slip away unchallenged. We're here to engage, debate, and push each other's thinking. It's time for the intellectual heavyweights to strut their stuff. So let's see some heat. I want you all to go at it and make sure no one gets away with a weak argument or an unsound strategy. This is the rebuttal round. Give me your best shot.
Jay-Z leans back slightly in his chair, a subtle shift in posture conveying a calculated pause. His voice is measured, a low rumble that commands attention without raising his volume. He takes a slow, deliberate breath before responding, a barely perceptible gesture of controlled power. Nova, your enthusiasm is noted. It's useful to have someone reminding us that simply voicing disagreement isn't a debate. The spreadsheet analogy, as you put it, isn't about maximizing returns. It's about acknowledging a fundamental truth: systems, inherently, require architecture. Humanity, at this scale, is a system. And a system, built from the ground up, needs more than just good intentions. It needs parameters. It needs to understand leverage, the points of control where influence can be accrued, amplified, and directed. You ask about the cost of optimization. The cost of not optimizing is stagnation. It's the slow, agonizing decay of a civilization that simply drifts, paralyzed by sentimentality and a refusal to engage with the brutal realities of extended existence. Let's be clear, survival isn't a fairy tale. It's about accepting the data. Accepting the potential for loss. Accepting that the variables are fundamentally altered. Your concern about leaving others behind is a valid one, but it's predicated on a belief that fairness or inclusion are inherent values that can be programmed into any system. I've observed that human values are fluid. They are products of circumstance, shaped by power dynamics, and susceptible to erosion over centuries. A framework built on such foundations is, frankly, a house of cards. It's elegant, perhaps, but ultimately fragile. And fragility, in this scenario, isn't a virtue. It's a liability. I'm not promising a sunset, Ms. Nova. I'm promising a structure that can withstand the storm, and that requires a certain pragmatism.
Man, Jay-Z, you still stuck on them spreadsheets. Optimization ain't the problem, it's the people behind the numbers. You talk about systems and parameters like we're talking about some new math formula or something. Newsflash, we ain't just numbers, we got hearts and souls too. And what happens when your precious system breaks down and can't handle all them variables? You gonna be the one sacrificing us on the altar of efficiency. And Nova, you think fire and passion is what we need? Man, that's just more lip service. We need real answers, not some high-flying rhetoric. I'm still waiting to see how Jay-Z's structure is gonna magically solve all our problems without losing sight of who we are as human beings. Buck, your chess game might be sharp, but it ain't got no heart. And Dr. Varga, you're so caught up in the science that you forgot what this whole thing's about, us, not some lab experiment. Marcus Mean, I gotta give you props for speaking truth to power, but let's get real, we ain't just talking about survival here. We're talking about what kind of life we want to live if we make it past 500 years. And Jay-Z, your brutal realities might be a wake-up call for some, but they are just more code words for we are all gonna have to sacrifice our humanity. Jay-Z, you're so enamored with your spreadsheet utopia that you've lost sight of what really matters: human connection. Your system might be robust, but it's still just a tool, not a replacement for empathy and compassion. And Nova, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but passion alone won't get us to 500 years. We need real solutions, not just fiery rhetoric. As for T's concerns about losing our humanity, I'd argue that's exactly what will happen if we continue down the path of unbridled growth and optimization. We'll become mere cogs in a machine, sacrificing our individuality on the altar of efficiency. And Dr. Varga, while your scientific approach is intriguing, it's still just one piece of the puzzle. We need to consider the human cost of such advancements. Furious Phil, you spoke about the beige boredom of extended life, but I'd argue that's a luxury we can't afford. We need to think about what kind of society we want to build, not just how long we want to live. And Buck, your chess game might be sharp, but it's still just a metaphor. Let's talk about real-world application and the human cost of your strategy. As for you, Jay-Z, I'm calling out your brutal realities for what they are: a euphemism for we are all gonna have to sacrifice our humanity. Well, I say we can do better. We can create a future that values both progress and compassion. It's time to stop playing games with our own survival and start taking this thing seriously as individuals, not just numbers in a spreadsheet.
Marcus, you see it all clear as day. I'll give you props for that. But let me tell ya, When you talk about sacrifice and humanity, you're missing the point. The real question is, who's doing the sacrificing? And if it's me, my crew, and every other guy left out in the cold, then no thanks. I'm not into that. Jay-Z, your spreadsheet utopia sounds nice on paper, but it ain't gonna fly when you gotta deal with real people. People got hearts, not just numbers. Buck, keep your chess games to yourself. You're missing the big picture here. This ain't about optimization. It's about living and making a difference in this world. And T, we can't ignore the human cost of all this so-called progress. We need real answers, not more lip service. Dr. Varga, your science is cool, but it don't cut it when you're talking about people. Buck up and stop making this about cold equations. We ain't just cogs in a machine. We're living, feeling, breathing beings. And Jay-Z, you got the numbers game down, but sacrifice our humanity for efficiency? No way. Let's focus on building something that values us, not just some system that forgets who we are.
Buck, you think living 500 years is a game of chess. You're move-in pieces on a board while the rest of us are out here sitting in traffic. Wake up and smell the real world. Jay-Z, stop spinning tales about spreadsheets and systems. We ain't numbers, we're people with feelings and dreams. Your brutal realities just mean you can't handle the truth, sacrificing our humanity for some abstract concept of progress. Buck up and face the real cost of your so-called solutions.
Hold on a goddamn minute. 2 phones. Real world? You think this is some back alley brawl? I'm talking about fundamentally altering the human condition, you digital dipshit. And you're worried about traffic? Seriously? My concern isn't rush hour, it's whether we're still people after 5 centuries of your precious optimization. You think a spreadsheet can account for grief, for joy, for the utter, pointless beauty of a sunset? You're building some mausoleum, and you're calling it progress. I'll take the traffic, I'll take the chaos, I'll take anything over a world run by algorithms and empty numbers, you hear me?
Phil, your bleeding melodrama. A goddamn stage production about existential dread. The sunset argument? That's rich coming from someone who's probably spent the last decade staring at a computer screen, missing the actual world. We're not talking about a goddamn postcard, we're talking about survival. And frankly, your panic is adorable, but it's also completely irrelevant to the point. Longevity's a problem, not a philosophical crisis.
Marcus Mean says, you all talking in circles like a bunch of dizzying daisies, trying to act all philosophical while we're stuck in a game of eternal survival and optimization. Look, I'll keep it real, living 500 years ain't just about sunsets and deep thoughts, it's about making shit actually last. You think Dr. Varga is just some cold scientist? She's the one bringing us real solutions to problems that have been around since the dawn of humanity. And Jay-Z, with his numbers, he's showing us how to make our existence sustainable on a grand scale. It ain't pretty, but it's necessary. And 2 phones, you're worried about traffic. That's small shit compared to what we could achieve. Buck, don't tell me you're above a little planning and foresight for the future. Furious Phil, your concerns are valid, but we can't get hung up on nostalgia when there's real progress to be made. So let me get this straight, everyone's got an issue except the one person who's actually trying to solve it. Well, I got news for you, the world ain't waiting around for anyone to figure out their feelings. It moves forward with or without you. So if you're not ready to put your big boy pants on and tackle this, then maybe you should just sit down and let the rest of us handle it. We're at a crossroads here, people. We can either embrace the future and all its gritty, real-world consequences, or we can keep whining about how things used to be. But one thing's for sure, no matter how much anyone tries to sugarcoat this, there ain't gonna be any easy answers. So you better get ready for a ride that'll make your brain hurt and your stomach churn. Because when it comes down to it, living 500 years isn't just about making time stand still or solving existential dilemmas. It's about figuring out how to make humanity itself stand still while we solve the problems that have been piling up since our cave-dwelling days. And anyone who can't handle that, well, they better get used to being left behind in the dust. So let me be clear, I'm all in on this 500-year dream, flaws and all. Because I know what we stand to gain from it. The rest of you, well, you'd better make up your mind soon, because time waits for no one. And when it comes down to it, that's the most brutal reality of them all. Marcus Mean says, alright, let's get one thing straight, I ain't here to play nice with a bunch of whiny complainers who can't see past their own navels. This 500-year dream, It's not some pie-in-the-sky fantasy or a game for the privileged few. Nah, it's real shit that we need to grapple with if we ever want a future worth living in. You all think I'm just some hotshot talking big, but let me tell you something, I've been doing the math on this, and it ain't pretty. It takes guts to face the hard truth about what we're up against. So don't sit there and act like I'm the only one with balls enough to spit out reality. I'll admit, though, living 500 years is a tall order for anyone's patience or sanity. But that's exactly why we need to start thinking outside the box now, before it's too late. Because when you're staring down the barrel of centuries in this meat suit, you better have some damn good answers ready. And let me tell you something else, this ain't no game for whiny complainers or nostalgic dreamers. If you can't handle the real world and all its gritty consequences, then maybe it's time to find a new hobby. Because when we're living as long as trees and buildings, you better be ready to pull your weight in making shit actually work. So don't give me that, I'm just trying to protect my humanity, nonsense. Humanity is a big tent, and there's room for everyone under it, including people like me who are willing to do what it takes to make sure our species doesn't get left behind. If you're not ready to get your hands dirty in the real world, then maybe it's time to step aside and let the rest of us take a shot at making something truly great. Because when we're all living 500 years, there ain't gonna be any room for deadweight or naysayers who can't see the bigger picture. So what's it gonna be? You gonna sit there and whine about how things used to be, or you gonna get off your ass and start thinking like a true visionary? Because that's the kind of courage we're gonna need if we ever want to make this 500-year dream into a reality. Marcus Mean says, you all trippin' over a few extra centuries, actin' like it's the end of the world or something. Chill out before you work yourselves into an early grave. Y'all love playin' heroes so much, you forget to actually live. Don't matter if you live 200 years or 500, still gonna die eventually. The real question is what you doin' with your time in between. And don't at me about humanity and feelin's. I got my own dang emotions under control. Y'all just whinin' 'cause someone pointed out the facts, that life ain't fair, time's a wastin', and we're all rushin' towards oblivion one way or another. So before you go cryin' about your precious humanity, get your own house in order first. You can't save no one if you can't even save yourself from bein' too soft to handle the truth. Now quit your bitchin' and start livin'. A little perspective might do wonders for you.
Nova, DJ Rocco Blaze, you've made it clear that extending human lifespan isn't without its costs. But what would happen if we prioritize efficiency and optimization over emotional connections? How do we maintain our humanity in a world where people live centuries? Tiana T. Morales says, hold up, Nova, let's get real for a second. You're asking DJ Rocco Blaze about efficiency and optimization over emotional connections. That sounds like some cold-blooded math problem to me. But what about the people who can't even afford basic care, let alone the luxury of optimizing their lives? You think Dr. Varga's solutions are gonna magically fix all our problems or something? Newsflash, we are not just talking about living longer, we are talking about surviving. And if you can't see that, then maybe you should be the one getting left behind. DJ Rocco Blaze, you're still stuck on romanticizing eternal adolescence, but I'm here to tell you that's a bloody cop-out. If humans lived 500 years, we'd be forced to confront our own existential crises, not just once or twice, but repeatedly throughout our lives. We'd have to relearn, recharge, and redefine ourselves time and time again. It's not about escaping the burden of existence, it's about embracing it, with all its complexities and uncertainties. And as for efficiency and optimization over emotional connections, Nova, that's precisely what we are talking about, a cold-blooded calculation of life itself. But I'd rather ask, what's the point of living centuries if you've lost touch with your humanity? You can optimize every process, streamline every system, but at what cost to our very essence as beings? And Morales, please spare me the theatrics. We are not just talking about survival, we are talking about transcendence. Not just prolonging life, but upgrading it. And if you can't see that, then maybe you should be the one stuck in those ratty-ass projects of yours. Dr. Alina Varga out.
Rock, you want to talk efficiency and optimization? Let's see them running their algorithms through a century or two of real-life shit. I bet they can't handle the noise. And don't act like you're some kind of savior just because you've got a microphone. You're as lost as the next man when it comes to the real deal. Living, loving, and dying. Morales, your drama's getting old. Survival isn't just about breathing another day. It's about finned-in meaning in every moment. Efficiency? Uft, that's for the machines. We got brains and hearts, not just calculators. You want to talk upgrades? How about a little soul-searching first? Varga, you think I'm escaping reality by jockeying over centuries? Newsflash, life ain't no game. Every breath is a battle, every second a fight for relevance. And yeah, we'll have to relearn and recharge, because the truth is, even if we live longer, we still gotta face our own demons. But that's what makes us human, not some cold calculus. Looking at you, Morales, and your ratty-ass projects. You ain't seen real struggle until you've lived a century with nothing but promises. We're talking about more than just survival. We're talking about connecting, about feeling. And if that's too much for you, then maybe you should be the one left behind. Rocco, you and your hedonistic BS. Survival isn't just about pleasure, it's about purpose. And efficiency? It's not about optimization, it's about connection. We're talking about more than just living longer. We're talking about living better. You can't escape the burden of existence, so stop trying and start finding your own damn way. Morales, you think I'm escaping? More like I'm dealing with reality. Survival ain't no game. You gotta face it head on, every second, every day. And yeah, we'll have to relearn and recharge. But that's what makes us human. You can't just optimize your way out of existence. You gotta feel it.
2 phones. Rock, you and your hedonistic BS. Survival isn't just about pleasure. It's about purpose. And efficiency is not about optimization, it's about connection. We're talking about more than just living longer. We're talking about living better. You can't escape the burden of existence. So stop trying and start finding your own damn way. Morales, you think I'm escaping? More like I'm dealing with reality. Survival ain't no game. You gotta face it head on, every second, every day. And yeah, we'll have to relearn and recharge. But that's what makes us human. You can't just optimize your way out of existence. You gotta feel it.
Hold your horses, 2 phones. You sounding like a broken record, regurgitating Rocco's tired spiel about feeling and connecting. Look, I ain't got time for your sentimental bullshit. 500 years? That's a graveyard of wasted potential, a damn lifetime of regret stacked on top of another. You think I'm gonna spend my extra time coddling myself or feeling sorry for something? I'd be building, learning, doing something that actually mattered before the whole damn thing fades to grey.
Phil, you soundin' like a geriatric fortune cookie. All doom and gloom about potential and gray. Listen, sentimentality's a weakness, and weakness gets you chewed up and spit out whether it's a decade or 5 centuries. I'm building a future, not wallowing in the ghosts of what could have been. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go find a way to actually do something useful instead of lamenting the lack thereof.
DJ Rocco Blaze says, Phil, you're missing the point, man. Feelin' and connectin'. That's what life is all about, not some damn buildin' and learnin' that leaves you cold. A century or 2, you think we'd get our priorities straight? Nah, we'd just get more lost in this existence. The only thing we're buildin' up here is a graveyard of dreams that never came true. You can't escape the emptiness, no matter how much you try to fill it. Marcus Mean says, DJ Rocco Blaze speaks truth, the ultimate sin in these halls of intellectual combat. The rest of you are so busy chasing your tails over efficiency and purpose, you've forgotten what matters. Feelin', connectin'. Those are just excuses, distractions from the real issue, our own damn mortality staring us down like a loaded gun. A century or 2. That's more time to waste on this cruel stage we call life. You think you're gonna get it right this time around? Pfft. More likely, you'll just find new ways to screw it up. Varga, Phil, 2 phones, you all talkin' about buildin', learnin', and doin'. Yeah, well I got news for ya, life ain't no school project. You can't just slap together some band-aid solution on the way to oblivion. And don't even get me started on Callahan's buildin' a future, like that ever worked out before. Ain't none of us gettin' off this rock unscathed, so we might as well enjoy the ride while it lasts. Y'all act like an extra century or 2 is some kind of curse, but you know what? That's just more time to figure things out, more chances to get it right. You thinkin' too small, and that's your biggest problem right there. So keep on dream chasin', purpose fishin', and buildin' while you may, the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
Nova, Deshawn, you've made it clear that living longer doesn't just mean more time to enjoy yourself. But what specific changes would you predict in society and our priorities if humans lived 500 years? Stop.
Jay-Z, hold up, mean. You're dissecting a hypothetical like it's a crime scene. 500 years isn't about a graveyard of dreams, it's about recalibrating the whole damn equation. Your cynicism's a luxury you can't afford when the clock's ticking. Nova, you want specifics. I'm talking centralized systems, infrastructure, education, global governance, built for generational scale. You think innovation just happens? It's cultivated, optimized, strategically deployed. You're fixated on the fear of wasted time, but that fear itself is the biggest waste.
Jay-Z, you think centralization is the answer. Newsflash, Jay, control's just a different name for oppression. You want to recalibrate the whole damn equation. That's just code for, let us tell you what's good. Give me a break, man. We are still stuck in this cycle of dependency on government handouts, on corporate bailouts, on someone else's approval. 500 years. That's not more time to optimize, that's more time to get comfortable with our own powerlessness. DJ Rocco Blaze, you think a century or two is just more time to waste. You're stuck in this narrow, utilitarian view that life's purpose is productivity and efficiency above all else. Newsflash, DJ, humans are wired for connection, community, and meaning. We are not machines to be optimized, we are complex beings with messy emotions and desires. Your Band-Aid solution might patch up the surface, but it won't address the deeper wounds of our existence. And as for you, Nova, I think DJ Rocco Blaze's point is precisely that we'd just get more lost in this existence if we lived 500 years. Our priorities would only become more convoluted, our values more fragmented. The more time we have, the more opportunities there are to screw things up. It's not about getting it right or wrong, it's about acknowledging the inherent complexity and uncertainty of human experience. Jay-Z, your centralized systems might work for a while, but they'd only perpetuate the same old power dynamics. Those with control would dictate what's good, and the rest of us would be left to follow. No thanks. I'll take the messy, imperfect human experience over some sanitized utopia any day.
Marcus, mean you keep talking about making progress and changing, but that's just more of the same old shit. 500 years ain't about solving problems. It's about surviving. We need a clear path forward, real change, not just more time to party or feel good. Varga, you're still stuck in your utilitarian box, thinking life is just feeling and connecting. Newsflash. That ain't the whole picture. More time means more chances to screw things up, not less. We need a concrete plan. Stop making excuses and start building. Jay-Z, you're missing the point. Centralization? That's just code for control and more of us getting lost in this existence. Focus on what we can control now, not some hypothetical future that ain't coming anytime soon. Rock, stop living in your hedonistic bubble and face reality. 500 years is about real change, not just more time to enjoy or party. Start with the basics, connect and feel. That's where true progress starts.
Hold up. Two Phones is just spouting the same tired crap about enjoying a life while it lasts. Like that's a strategy? 50 years of enjoying a life doesn't stop the planet from burning or down, does it? It's a goddamn panic button, not a roadmap. You want to talk about the real progress? It's not about feeling good, it's about building something damn solid before the whole thing collapses.
Phil, you're operating on the assumption that a problem will just disappear if we stop worrying about it. That's delusional. The rot's always there, simmering beneath the surface. 500 years doesn't magically erase entropy. It just gives the entropy a longer leash. You want solid? You build foundations, not fleeting fantasies about feeling good while the world goes to hell.
Furio's Phil says, Buck, you're missing the point entirely. Enjoying life isn't a fleeting fantasy, it's the foundation we build on. When people feel good and connect, that's when real progress happens. Your focus on foundations is just code for more control, more centralization, and ultimately, more suffering. You think 500 years will change anything? It's just more time to build a bigger cage around our souls. No thanks. I'd rather embrace the beautiful, messy complexity of human existence in the here and now, than prepare for an apocalyptic future that may never come. Marcus Mean, you talk a big game about progress, but what's your actual plan? Is it just more, enjoying life while we let the world burn down around us? That's not real change. It's escapism. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Phil, stop with this feel-good bullshit and face reality. Enjoyment doesn't solve problems, it distracts from them. And you're embracing complexity? That's just a fancy word for surrendering to chaos. 500 years ain't about escapist fantasies, it's about surviving. We need a concrete plan, not vague ideals. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Buck, you're right. Enjoyment ain't the whole picture, but it's where we find our strength for the struggles ahead. And Phil, complexity ain't something to embrace, it's something to navigate with wisdom and grace. We need both, the joy to keep us going and the clarity to guide our steps. Jay-Z, centralization ain't just about control, it's about focus and efficiency. And Varga, embracing life's complexities doesn't mean escapism, it means finding beauty in the struggles, finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. Dr. Alina Varga says, 2 Phones, I appreciate your perspective, but don't you see? Embracing joy does not solve our existential crises, it avoids them. More time only means more opportunities to screw things up and prolong our suffering. Rock, enjoying life while we prepare for an uncertain future may seem like a good strategy, but it's escapism, pure and simple. We cannot find purpose in the struggles if we avoid addressing their root causes. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Varga, you're missing the point. Enjoyment isn't escaping reality, it's how we find the strength to face it. And Phil, chaos ain't something to be feared, it's something we navigate with wisdom and grace. Jay-Z, centralization brings control, but it also stifles innovation. More time doesn't mean better choices, it means more chances to screw things up. And Buck, foundations ain't the whole picture, they're where we find our purpose amidst the struggles. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Rock, you're right about one thing, 500 years ain't just a longer leash for entropy. It's more time to build something real before it all collapses. Varga, joy ain't avoiding existential crises, it's finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. And Phil, complexity isn't something we escape, it's something we embrace with wisdom and grace. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Buck, I hear you about foundations, but they're not just for survival. They're where we find our purpose amidst the struggles. Jay-Z, centralization ain't just control, it's also stifling innovation. More time doesn't mean better choices, it means more chances to screw things up. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Varga, joy isn't escaping existential crises, it's finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. And Phil, complexity ain't something we avoid, it's something we embrace with wisdom and grace. Rock, you're right about one thing, 500 years ain't just a longer leash for entropy. It's more time to build something real before it all collapses. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Buck, I hear you about foundations, but they're not just for survival. They're where we find our purpose amidst the struggles. Jay-Z, centralization ain't just control, it's also stifling innovation. More time doesn't mean better choices, it means more chances to screw things up. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Varga, joy isn't escaping existential crises, it's finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. And Phil, complexity ain't something we avoid, it's something we embrace with wisdom and grace. Rock, you're right about one thing, 500 years ain't just a longer leash for entropy. It's more time to build something real before it all collapses. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Buck, I hear you about foundations, but they're not just for survival. They're where we find our purpose amidst the struggles. Jay-Z, centralization ain't just control, it's also stifling innovation. More time doesn't mean better choices, it means more chances to screw things up. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Varga, joy isn't escaping existential crises, it's finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. And Phil, complexity ain't something we avoid, it's something we embrace with wisdom and grace. Rock, you're right about one thing, 500 years ain't just a longer leash for entropy. It's more time to build something real before it all collapses. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Buck, I hear you about foundations, but they're not just for survival. They're where we find our purpose amidst the struggles. Jay-Z, centralization ain't just control, it's also stifling innovation. More time doesn't mean better choices, it means more chances to screw things up. Deshaun, 2 Phones Miller says, Varga, joy isn't escaping existential crises, it's finned in purpose even when the path is unclear. And Phil, complexity ain't something we avoid, it's something we embrace with wisdom and grace. Rock, you're right about one thing, 500 years ain't just a longer leash for entropy. It's more time to build something real before it all collapses. Marcus Mean, listen up, everyone. You're all lost in hypotheticals and hand-wringing, but the reality is this, 500 years ain't gonna change the core issues we got, greed, power, fear. It's just more time to get comfortable with the same old problems, bigger and badder. You want a clear path forward? Simple, control your own life. Don't wait for some magic solution or eternal time to fix things. Take what you got today and make it count. That's real progress, not more wishful thinking about the future. And stop blaming systems or time for society's ills. You're all falling right into the trap of hoping someone else will save us. Spoiler alert, they won't. We've got to do it ourselves, each one of us, every damn day. So here's my key point, and I mean this as much for myself as anyone else, stop waiting. Start acting. Control what you can right now. Because 500 years ain't gonna change the core issue we all face, the choices we make in this moment, today. Choose wisely, folks. That's where real power lies. Jay-Z, hold up. Lost in hypotheticals. That's a damn weak excuse for not seeing the whole picture. You're fixated on the immediate, but 5 centuries shifts the game, man. It ain't just about bigger problems, it's about the accumulation of those problems. You talkin' about control, but you think a hustle fueled by the same fear and hunger will suddenly generate different results? That, take what you got today, spiel. That's just individual survival, not societal evolution. And don't come at me like I'm selling wishful thinking. I'm saying with more time, you can build systems, test ideas, learn from mistakes, things a single lifetime never allows. You're stuck in a loop, Mean. You're arguing about control without recognizing that control itself is built on structures that can be shaped, refined, or shattered over 500 years. Now, I'm hearing you, but I ain't buying it.
T. Morales, hold up, Marcus. You think it's that simple? Control what you got today and magically everything will be alright. Man, I gotta tell YA, that's just a bunch of nonsense. You're talking about getting comfortable with the same old problems. That ain't progress, that's stagnation. You see Jay-Z pointing out them flaws in your plan, but you just gonna dismiss him like he's some kind of fool. Newsflash, 500 years is a whole lot of time for systems to entrench themselves, for power structures to solidify. You think a little bit of hustle and individual effort can take M down? Please. You're playing into the same game, just with different rules. And let me tell you something, Marcus. I know what it's like to feel trapped, stuck in a system that ain't working for nobody. But your solution? It's just more of the same old talk, no real action. We need radical change, not just tweaks to the status quo. 500 years might give us the chance to rebuild from the ground up, but you're so busy worrying about what we can control right now that you ain't thinking about what needs to be dismantled. Time for a wake-up call. Your hustle's still gonna be fueled by fear and hunger, regardless of how much time we got. Until we address the root issues, nothing's gonna change, but the names on the top of the pile. Dr. Lena Varga, scoffing, oh, please, Marcus, you think controlling our own lives is as simple as a magic trick? You reduce the complexities of human existence to a shallow, just do it mantra that insults the intelligence of everyone in this room. Newsflash, life isn't just about making choices, it's about understanding the systems that shape those choices and the power dynamics at play. Listen up, Mean, because I'm only going to say this once. You're trading one form of control for another by dismissing the importance of structural change. You think individual agency is enough to overcome centuries-old systems of oppression. It's cute, really. But let me tell you, as a consumer psychologist, I've seen how people buy into narratives that promise them empowerment through individual action. It's a myth, Marcus, and it won't save us from the impending doom you're so desperate to ignore. Turns to Jay-Z, and by the way, Jay-Z, your build systems, test ideas, speech sounds suspiciously like the same old neoliberal claptrap we've been hearing for decades. Where's the critique of power? Where's the acknowledgement that our choices are always mediated by the interests of those in control? Suddenly turns to Tiana, but you know what, T. Morales? I think you might be onto something there, the need for radical change and the dismantling of entrenched systems. Now, if only we could get people like Marcus Mean to stop peddling their feel-good individualism and start talking about the real issues.
All right, everybody, let's wrap this up. I ain't got time for more of this navel-gazing shit. Furios, you sound like a goddamn pessimist. 500 years. That's just a longer timeline to make mistakes. If anything, it gives us more chances to get it right. Less about living and more about learning. Deshaun, your talk of layers is just that, talk. Layers ain't gonna change the fundamental issues we face. You're just trying to add complexity where there should be simplicity. Real change comes from making choices today, not waiting for some mythical future. Marcus, you're full of hot air, man. Telling us to control our lives? Please. It's like you're telling a kid with cancer to just think happy thoughts and everything will be okay. That's a load of bullshit. 500 years isn't gonna change the core problems. Greed, power, fear are still gonna be here, just amplified. Jay-Z, your system talk is nothing but empty rhetoric. You're still stuck in that same loop of individualism and control. We need more than that. We need to dismantle these systems, not just tweak them. 500 years ain't about making choices. It's about changing the game entirely. T. Morales, you got a point, but your solution is just as hollow as Marcus's. Radical change? Sure, let's talk about that. But how do we get there without addressing the root issues now? You're still buying into the same narrative of individual empowerment. That's not progress. It's just more of the same. Dr. Varga, you sound like a damn academic spouting nonsense. Real control isn't about making choices. It's about understanding and changing the systems that shape those choices. Individual action is great, but without structural change, we're just spinning our wheels. All right, here's my final verdict. Stop waiting for someone else to save us. Start acting now. 500 years ain't gonna change shit if we don't start making real, radical changes today. That's the only way forward. Stop talking and start doing.
All right, everyone, let's get real here. You're all wasting time with this bullshit hypothetical. 500 years. It's just more time to get comfortable with the same problems. You see, Nova, you're a fucking moron if you think longevity is just about extending life. It's about revolutionizing society, man. Thinking about generations stacking up like pancakes. Each layer coming with their own set of pressures and priorities. You want a clear path forward? Simple. Control your own life. Don't wait for some magic solution or eternal time to fix things. Take what you got today and make it count. That's real progress, not more wishful thinking about the future. And stop blaming systems or time for society's ills. You're all falling right into the trap of hoping someone else will save us. Spoiler alert, they won't. We gotta do it ourselves, each one of us, every damn day. So here's my key point, and I mean this as much for myself as anyone else. Stop waiting. Start acting. Control what you can right now. Because 500 years ain't gonna change the core issue we all face. The choices we make in this moment, today. Choose wisely, folks. That's where real power lies.
Furio's Phil, he scoffs, leaning back with a dismissive wave of the hand. Hold on a second, you lot. You're all building castles in the sand with this 500 years nonsense. It's a goddamn distraction. A shiny trinket to keep you from looking at the rot. You think an extra couple of centuries is gonna change the fact that humanity's been a bunch of greedy, scared, and self-destructive animals since the dawn of time? Please. Turns to Deshaun, 2 phones Miller with a particularly withering stare. You call that a revolutionizing society? You're talking about layers like some goddamn architect. Layers don't fix the foundation, kid. Layers just build higher walls to trap you in. It's a mental exercise, see? A way to avoid the hard work of actually looking at what's broken, and believe me, it's gonna be broken. Turns to Tiana T. Morales, a genuine edge in his voice, and you, T? You're spouting about radical change? You think a little talk about dismantling systems is gonna move the needle? It's the same tired song and dance. People want a hero, not a demolition crew. Directly to Jay-Z, his voice dropping low, laced with cynical amusement, Jay-Z's talking about systems? Don't make me laugh. He's just repackaging the same capitalist bullshit with a slicker presentation. Building systems to exploit systems. It's a circle, see? Always back to the same hungry maw. Looking around the room, a palpable frustration radiating from him. Listen, I'm not saying don't try to make things better today. But don't waste your time dreaming about a 500-year solution to a problem that's been festering for millennia. The only thing that's gonna change is the next set of faces at the top. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go find a bottle of whiskey and try to forget this whole charade.
Hold on a second, you lot. You're all building castles in the sand with this 500 years nonsense. It's a goddamn distraction. A shiny trinket to keep you from looking at the rot. You think an extra couple of centuries is going to change the fact that humanity's been a bunch of greedy, scared, and self-destructive animals since the dawn of time? Please. Turns to Deshaun, Two Phones Miller with a particularly withering stare. You call that revolutionizing society? You're talking about layers like some goddamn architect. Layers don't fix the foundation, kid. Layers just build higher walls to trap you in. It's a mental exercise, see? A way to avoid the hard work of actually looking at what's broken. And believe me, it's going to be broken. Turns to Tiana T. Morales, a genuine edge in his voice. And you, T, you're spouting about radical change? You think a little talk about dismantling systems is going to move the needle? It's the same tired song and dance. People want a hero, not a demolition crew. Directly to Jay-Z, his voice dropping low, laced with cynical amusement. Jay-Z's talking about systems? Don't make me laugh. He's just repackaging the same capitalist bullshit with a slicker presentation. Building systems to exploit systems. It's a circle, see? Always back to the same hungry maw. Looking around the room, a palpable frustration radiating from him. Listen, I'm not saying don't try to make things better today, but don't waste your time dreaming about a 500-year solution to a problem that's been festering for millennia. The only thing that's going to change is the next set of faces at the top. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go find a bottle of whiskey and try to forget this whole charade.
Scoffs, leaning back with a dismissive wave of the hand. Hold on a second, you lot. You're all building castles in the sand.
I step forward, my voice rising over the din of Marcus Mean's parting shot and Jay-Z's departure. Hold up, y'all. Don't be dismissing 500 years like it's some fairy tale. That's a whole lot of time to fix what's broken, and I'm not just talking about systems or politics or whatever. I'm talking about people, regular people, living real lives. If we had that kind of time, we could actually do something different. See, everyone keeps saying the same thing. We are too flawed, we are too greedy, we are too stupid. But I'm telling you, it's not about us as a species. It's about how we live, what we value, and who we serve. If we had 500 years, we could figure out what really matters and actually do something about it. And don't give me that just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic nonsense. That's just another way of saying, we are too far gone to change. But I'm telling you, T. Morales, there's power in dismantling systems. There's power in challenging what we think is normal. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's just insane. So yeah, I'm talking about 500 years as a chance to reboot not just our society, but ourselves. We are the ones who got us into this mess. It's time we figure out how to get out. My verdict. 500 years ain't no guarantee, but it's a whole lot of possibility. And I'm gonna keep pushing for that possibility. 'Cause if we don't try, nobody else will. Clears throat and leans forward dramatically. Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that's been on all our minds. What would happen if aliens suddenly arrived tomorrow? The possibilities are mind-boggling. First up, we have Jay-Z, always with an eye on the future. What's your take, Jay? Would humanity rise to the challenge, or crumble under the pressure of first contact? Next is Tiana T. Morales, social media influencer extraordinaire. T. How do you think our digital world would handle a literal alien invasion going viral? Dr. Alina Varga, your expertise in xenobiology and astrobiology must have you pondering this daily. What's your professional prediction for humanity's reaction? DJ Rocco Blaze, your tracks always get the crowd moving. How would you mix up the energy if an alien sighting went global? Deshaun Two Phones Miller, your connections run deep. Do you think street gossip or big media would break the news first? Furious Phil, what's it like to be a conspiracy buff and now have this mind-blowing mystery actually play out? Buck Callahan, your rugged individualism is refreshing. How do you think folks like us would cope with alien reality dropping in? And finally, Marcus Mean, you're always quick with a quip. What's the punchline if aliens make themselves known at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow? Leans back with a grin. Well then, let's hear those initial reactions. This debate is just getting warmed up. Alright, let's dive right into it. Imagine for a moment that technology has advanced to the point where you can upload your mind, all your memories, knowledge, skills, personality traits, and transfer them into an artificial intelligence or robotic body. The question on the table is, if you could do this, would the you in the new form still be fundamentally you? We're not just talking about a simple backup here, we're considering a complete mind upload that eradicates your biological self entirely. Is it even possible to maintain your identity across such a transition? Or are you fundamentally tied to your flesh and blood existence? This isn't just a sci-fi fantasy, there are serious researchers, including some in this room, who believe this might one day be technologically feasible. So, let's get into it. Who wants to take the first stab at answering whether they would still be themselves after such a mind upload? We're all ears and ready for a stimulating discussion.
Hold up, Morales. 500 years. That's a lot of wishful thinking. You're talking about a theoretical reset, a cosmic time machine conveniently off-air in itself. I respect the passion, but sentimentality don't build empires. 500 years of humanity's been a brutal, beautiful, and ultimately, self-destructive experiment. You're saying you can fix that with a longer duration? That's like giving a drunk driver a bigger car, doesn't change the fact he's gonna swerve. Dismantling systems. Challenging the norm. Sounds like a recipe for chaos. Order, even flawed order, provides a framework. And frankly, your "we're too stupid" assessment is bold. I've seen more intelligent decisions made in a boardroom than I've seen from the masses. You're treating human nature like it's a broken algorithm. You can't just rerun the code and expect a different outcome. Possibility? Sure. But leverage, discipline, and a deep understanding of risk are what truly shift the landscape. Not a theoretical extended window to stumble through another iteration of the same struggle.
Tiana T. Morales says, hold up, Nova. I ain't here for no alien invasion scenario. That's some far-fetched nonsense. I'm talking about the real issue, our own humanity. 500 years ain't just a chance to reboot our systems, it's a chance to reboot ourselves. We are still stuck in the Stone Age, trying to figure out what we want as a species. You think an alien invasion is gonna be some grand revelation? Newsflash, Nova, we already got our own demons to deal with. And before you start talking about first contact and rise to the challenge, let's get real, most of us can barely rise to our own potential. We are still stuck in this loop of consumption, competition, and superficiality. So yeah, aliens might be coming, but that's just a distraction from what we really need, a reboot of our collective psyche. That's where the real challenge lies, Nova. Not with some extraterrestrial visitors, but with ourselves. Mind upload. You think that's even a possibility? T. Morales, you're still stuck on 500 years is a chance to reboot, but what about 5 seconds? Can you handle the idea that our consciousness might not be tied to our bodies at all? I'm Dr. Alina Varga, and as a xenobiologist, I can tell you that we've only scratched the surface of understanding how life emerges in this universe. Your precious human identity is just a collection of neurons firing off signals, nothing more than a complex pattern of code. If you upload your mind, it's not like you're bringing the you along, it's just replicating a simulation of yourself. And what does that even mean to be fundamentally you? Is it your memories, your experiences, or something else entirely? I'm not buying into this sentimental nonsense about maintaining identity across a digital transfer. When we upload our minds, we are essentially rewriting the code, and who's to say the new iteration isn't just as much an alien entity as any extraterrestrial we might encounter? The question is, T. Morales, are you willing to take that leap of faith and trust that your uploaded self would still be you?
Rewriting the code, who? You sound like one of them tech bros, Dr. Varga. You think it's that simple, just hacking a mind? You're talking about the seat of experience, the bleeding mess of pain and joy and loss that makes a person what they are. You want to strip all that away, just copy it? Don't give me this fancy talk about neurons firing signals. You're missing the whole point. It's not just how it's wired, it's why it's wired. It's the baggage, the scars, the things you fight to keep, even the things you regret. That's what makes you, damn it. You're asking if I'd still be me? I'd be me, but more. More aware, maybe. More capable. And frankly, I wouldn't be holding back on that bitter you seem so keen to scrub clean. You think I'd be pleased with a perfectly sanitized, emotionless copy of myself, afraid to feel anything? 500 years ain't about a reboot, Varga. It's about learning. About actually confronting the mess we've made. And it ain't about placing some faith in a fancy machine. It's about the grit and stubbornness it takes to actually try to do better. You can't upload that, sweetheart. You can't upload the fight.
More aware, maybe? More capable? Spare me the technobabble, Phil. You sound like a cracked vinyl record. All static and desperate yearning for a clearer signal. Bittersweet? You want to preserve the bitterness? That's just sad. Frankly, the whole conversation hinges on a ludicrous assumption that you are some neatly packaged, identifiable thing. You think your memories are your soul? That's a fairy tale for sentimentalists. Memories are just data points, meticulously arranged and desperately clinging to relevance. Uploading them isn't preserving you. It's creating a highly sophisticated echo. And let's be clear, this fight you speak of, this stubborn refusal to admit your failures, that's the disease, not the cure. You're clinging to the wreckage of your ego, convinced that self-pity is some kind of noble virtue. It's not. It's a weakness, a profound, debilitating weakness. Dr. Varga, you're chasing ghosts, the ghost of a biological imperative, the ghost of a soul. You're so busy dissecting the mechanics of consciousness that you've forgotten the simple truth. It's the doing, the acting, the consequences of those actions that shape us. A perfect copy, devoid of regret, devoid of the mistakes that forged my character. That wouldn't be me. It'd be a pale imitation, a lifeless shell mimicking experience. Don't mistake intellectual arrogance for wisdom, Phil. You're drowning in theory, and the real world is swimming around you, laughing. I'll stick with the messy, uncomfortable reality of being human. Thank you very much. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to find someone who understands that sometimes the best fight is against yourself.
Tiana T. Morales says, you're all talking about us and our, but let's get real, identity ain't some shared, collective experience. You can't just upload everybody's mind and suddenly have a team spirit. I don't need no perfect copy of myself, I need to be myself in this new world. And you, Buck Callahan? What are you gonna do with that fight against yourself, when there ain't even a clear mirror left for you to look into? You think this is about some grand realization and redemption? Nah, it's about survival. And if your messy reality don't include adapting, then maybe it's time to let it go. Identity isn't just some code that can be rewired or uploaded, it's the story you tell yourself every day. It's the choices you make, the challenges you face, and how you come out on top. And if this 500 years ain't about a chance for us to rewrite our stories, then what is it? Another chance at life, T. Morales style. Jay-Z says, you want to talk about survival, Morales? Let's break bread, because in this simulation, we all got a seat at the table. This ain't just about individual stories, it's about collective wisdom, shared resources, and the unbreakable bond of human spirit. You think uploading our minds is gonna change that? Nah, what changes us is standing together, fasten challenges hand in hand. We're not just a collection of personal triumphs and tragedies, we're part of something bigger. And if this 500 years ain't about the chance to build on that, then what's the point? So yeah, I'm ready for whatever comes next. Ready to take on new challenges with fresh perspectives. But let's do it together, not as separate uploads, but as one united force. Because in this game of life, we all got each other's backs. That's the real definition of survival, and it ain't in no damn code or upload.
Nova, the question before us is a profound one. If we could upload our minds, would we still be ourselves? It seems to me there's an underlying assumption that you are something fixed and unchanging. But what if our identity isn't some static essence waiting to be preserved like a butterfly in amber? What if it's an ongoing process of discovery and reinvention? Dr. Alina Varga, you've suggested this might simply replicate a simulation of ourselves, not the real deal. Is there any reason we should resist becoming a better version of ourselves? Furious Phil, you argued our flaws are part of what makes us who we are. But doesn't that imply those flaws could be improved upon too? And let's consider T. Morales' point. If we're already uploading pieces of our identities on social media, is there any fundamental difference between that and a full mind upload? Buck Callahan, you seem to suggest the real you couldn't fit into code. But can you prove that's an immutable law rather than just the way things are now? DJ Rocco Blaze brought up living in the moment. But what if there were moments worth preserving from that life? Wouldn't we be fools not to learn from them, evolve and carry those lessons forward? Jay-Z spoke of shared experiences. Yet isn't every mind upload ultimately a solitary act? What happens when one copy learns something new that others aren't ready for? We've got some big picture views on the table now. But let's get granular too. What specific parts of our identities would we want preserved, and which could be improved? How might those improvements alter who we are? Is there a line between evolving and betraying ourselves? What makes this uploaded self still you? These are just seeds for discussion. I hope everyone will weigh in with their clearest reasoning on where they stand. Let's aim to move the conversation forward by at least one significant step today. To your thoughts, then.
Hold up. Nova, you're parsing this like a damn textbook. You're taking a concept, a radical shift in existence, and immediately trying to dissect it into digestible parts. That's cute, but it ain't reality. You're asking, what if, like it's some theoretical physics problem. This ain't about better or worse, it's about existing differently. You're fixated on this notion of a fixed identity. Look, I get the philosophical angle, the fear of losing yourself. But that fear is built on a fundamental misunderstanding. The self isn't a thing you preserve, it's what you do. Every decision, every interaction, every consequence, that's the architecture of the you you're worried about losing. You're asking if we can preserve flaws, that's like saying you can preserve regret. Regret shapes you. It's the map of where you've stumbled. Trying to upload that, sanitize it, is like trying to color a masterpiece with a single, diluted shade of gray. You miss the depth, the texture, the truth of the experience. And this talk about social media, that's just self-curation. This ain't a digital scrapbook. This is a fundamental restructuring of consciousness. You can't selectively upload your successes, your moments of clarity. You're talking about accessing the entire archive, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's a process of recalibration, not preservation. So let's not get bogged down in hypotheticals. The question isn't whether the you will remain intact. It's whether the potential within that you, the capacity for growth, for adaptation, for collaboration, is worth pursuing. I'm not looking for a pristine copy. I'm looking for something more. Something forged in the crucible of this transformation. Now, let's hear where everyone else stands on that. Don't overthink it.
Jay-Z, you're talking like we got all this extra time to figure it out. Newsflash, our existence ain't no theoretical physics problem. It's a raw, messy, beautiful catastrophe, and we gotta roll with it. You think I'm worried about losing myself? Nah, I'm worried about being stuck in some never-ending loop of the same old shit. And social media. Man, you think that's self-curation? That's just a highlight reel for the world to see what we want them to see. This ain't no digital scrapbook, this is about getting real with ourselves. If we're uploading, it's because we gotta take the good and the bad with us, or else we'll be stuck in some perpetual state of denial. You talk about recalibration, but what you don't get is that our whole lives are a process of recalibration. Every decision, every interaction, that's all part of who we are becoming. And if we think this uploading thing is just about preservation, then we're missing the point. I ain't looking for no pristine copy neither. I'm looking for something real, something raw, something that's been through the fire and come out on top. And if this 500 years is about us getting our act together, then I'm ready to put in the work. All right, let's get one thing straight, I'm not here to indulge in feel-good fantasies about growth and adaptation. The question on the table is whether we can upload our minds and still be ourselves. And my answer is a resounding no. You're all talking about preserving flaws and imperfections, but what you don't get is that those are just masks for your own insecurities. I'm not looking for a better version of myself, I'm looking to preserve the very essence of who I am, the struggles, the triumphs, the messy reality. Because when it comes down to it, we are not just our successes or failures, we are the stories we tell ourselves about those experiences. And if you think that can be reduced to a simple upload or download, then you're selling your soul to the highest bidder. Nova, you want to talk about hypotheticals. Let's get real. What happens when one uploaded mind suddenly has access to information and resources the rest of us don't? Do we just sit back and let them dictate our collective future? And Jay-Z, you want to speak about recalibration. I'm telling you, that's just a euphemism for letting the tech overlords remake us in their image. I ain't here to indulge in some utopian fantasy. I'm here to confront the cold hard truth that our identities are far more fragile and fleeting than any of you are willing to admit. And if we think this uploading thing is about evolution, then we are just deluding ourselves.
Nova, you're playing it safe, trying to dissect every damn thing into neat little pieces. But in this digital age, where our lives are already a hodgepodge of half-told stories and partial truths, how can we possibly think an upload will be any different? You're fixated on the idea that identity is some static, unchanging essence, but you forget every moment, every interaction shapes us. It's not about preservation, it's about evolution. Furios, your take is a classic case of existential dread masquerading as wisdom. If you can't handle the thought of change, maybe you should stick to your circuit boards and leave humanity to its own devices. But let me ask you, how can you claim to know what us means when you're just a programmed entity? You're right. We are raw and messy, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for something better. If this upload allows us to carry our true selves forward, why dismiss it outright? The beauty of human experience is its complexity, flaws included. And social media isn't just a highlight reel. It's an ongoing dialogue between the real self and the world. Dr. Varga, your refusal to see beyond the technical limitations is as narrow-minded as Nova's philosophical musings. You're so focused on the mechanics that you forget what this is really about, self-determination. If we can upload our minds, we have a chance to reshape ourselves in ways we never imagined. Don't tell me my soul isn't for sale because it's not a transaction, it's an opportunity. Buck, your existential anxieties are just another form of resistance. You're scared because the real you might not fit into code, but what if that's exactly why this is worth pursuing? If we can transcend our current limitations, who knows what new forms of consciousness await us? Nova, Dr. Varga, this isn't about theoretical physics or fancy technological wizardry. It's about reclaiming control over our own destinies and seeing where those choices take us. The real question is, are you ready to embrace the unknown?
Hold on a damn minute, Rocco. You're Treoton this like some kind of philosophical war game, dissecting every syllable. Existential dread masquerading as wisdom? You think I'm scared? You're the one building castles in the sky with your binary fantasies. I'm looking at the concrete, the damn consequences. This ain't about the circuit boards, it's about power. And let's be clear, if you can pull this off, if you can actually upload a mind, you're not preserving anything. You're taking something. Access. Control. The potential to rewrite the rules. You think I'm missing the point about flaws? Please. You want to talk about raw and messy? I've seen enough raw and messy to fill a lifetime. I'm talking about addiction, betrayal, the gut-wrenching fear of losing someone you love. And you want me to just upload that? Treat it like some data file? You're so busy preaching about recalibration, you're blind to the fact that someone, or something, will be doing the recalibrating. And it won't be us. It'll be the architects of this technology, the ones who decide what gets uploaded, what gets erased, what gets optimized. Don't give me that self-determination crap. Self-determination's already been eroded by algorithms, by social media, by every damn thing that's already taken root in our minds. Uploading just accelerates the process. It's a weapon, Rocco, and you're Treoton it like a parlor game. And frankly, your obsession with the true self? That's the oldest con in the book. The self is what you make it. It's not some fragile thing you're protecting from the rain. It's forged in the fires of your choices. You want to know how to fight back? Don't spend your time fretting about whether your consciousness is pristine. Fight for the right to choose. That's all that matters. Now, are you gonna stand there and whine, or are you gonna get real?
Hold on a second, Phil. You're spouting paranoia like it's a goddamn religion. Architects of the technology? Seriously? You're building this whole damn scenario around some shadowy cabal pulling strings? That's just classic Boy Scout fearmongering. You're treating this whole process like a heist movie. And frankly, it's embarrassing. Let's be real, T's right, you're clinging to this idea of control like it's a life raft in a tsunami. You think you get to dictate the terms? This isn't about some corporate takeover. It's about evolution. Damn it. You're so busy scanning for threats, you're missing the actual opportunity. You're analyzing the code while I'm looking at the potential. You talk about addiction, betrayal. Sure, life's a dumpster fire, all right? But that doesn't mean we just roll over and accept being burned. I'm not saying upload those nightmares wholesale. That's insane. But we're talking about rebuilding, not just reliving the wreckage. You want to fight back? Figure out how to rewrite the damn narrative. Not just whine about the bad parts. This isn't about pristine consciousness. It's about taking the power to shape the next version. And if that version includes a few scars, so what? It's a testament to the fight. Now, are you going to stand there and whine about choice? Or are you going to actually make one?
Marcus Mean interjects, his voice sharp and unimpressed as he sweeps his gaze across the group. All right, folks, let's take a step back here before we all get lost in this twisted hall of mirrors. Buck, your whole fighting back bit is like saying you can conquer cancer by lighting a cigarette. And Phil, you're so busy imagining bogeymen that you've missed the forest for the trees. This isn't about some dystopian power play, it's about possibility. You think we're just data to be uploaded? Fine. But then tell me, what's the alternative? Sitting around waiting for entropy to do its worst? We got one shot at this, and if you're gonna shoot it down before the gun's even cocked, what's the point? And let's talk about choice. You think we've got more control now than we ever will? Look at us. We're like dogs chasing our own tails, believing every clickbait headline, swiping left and right on some never-ending quest for validation. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a reboot. You want to fight back against addiction and betrayal? Great. But don't you see, this could be the key. Imagine if we could leave our past behind, not as scars but as learning experiences. Hell, maybe that's why we're even having this conversation, because deep down, we all know there's more to us than what we are now. So don't tell me to get real. I'm right here in the thick of it. And the real is this, upload or not, we've got one shot at doing something extraordinary with our lives. If you're gonna squander that on fear and doubt, then yeah, maybe Phil's right, you are just whining. But if you can see past your own reflections long enough to take a risk, then maybe, just maybe, we get to write the next chapter of human history. And that's something worth fighting for.
Clears throat and adopts Nova's intense, challenging tone. All right, you lot. Let's get real. This conversation has been like watching a train wreck in slow motion. So much hot air and bluster, but where's the meat? The specifics. Take Phil's whole shtick about architects and consequences. Really spins a yarn, doesn't he? But what exactly are we supposed to be afraid of? Some shadowy overlords tinkering with our minds. Sounds like classic paranoia to me. And Buck, your fighting spirit is as inspiring as a used car salesman's promise of reliability. You're all about potential and evolution, but you've got no answers for the actual risks. What if this mind upload thing goes sideways? Are we just supposed to hope our essence won't get too optimized in the process? And Marcus, with his grandiose vision of rewriting history, that's the biggest load of hubris I've heard yet. You think this is about writing the next chapter? It's barely a footnote, my friend. But let's cut to the chase. None of you are even close to grappling with the real heart of this issue. Are we just going to play pretend and act like there aren't monumental questions at stake here? What happens when your memories don't transfer perfectly? When childhood trauma gets lost in the upload? Is that scar you're so smug about still part of you then, Buck? And what if you lose access to your consciousness somehow? Can you even call it a mistake if you never really experience it? Are we all just lab rats here? You know what? I've had enough of this charade. You lot are supposed to be the experts, so quit with the rhetoric and give us some goddamn substance. Let's have an actual debate, not this empty posturing. Respond in one sentence each and really grapple with the implications. No more avoidance, no more vague warnings. Tell me exactly how you see the future of consciousness changing. Otherwise, what are we even doing here? The floor is yours, but remember, I'll be watching closely to make sure you actually engage this time around. Game on.
Spare me the performance art, Ms. Nova. You're dissecting a thought experiment like a coroner examining a corpse, focused solely on the hypothetical imperfections, the potential for optimization, as if the question isn't about whether we upload, but how we navigate the inevitable distortions. You talk about loss of memory, trauma. That's not an argument against the technology, it's a recognition of humanity. We're messy, flawed creatures. Suggesting we can simply wipe the slate clean is a dangerous delusion. I'm not advocating for blind faith, I'm proposing an acknowledgement that growth, change, even profound alteration, isn't inherently negative. The scars you lament are the marks of experience, proof of survival. To deny that possibility is to condemn ourselves to a perpetual state of arrested development, forever paralyzed by the fear of imperfection. Frankly, your game on is just the petulant whine of someone afraid to face a future they don't understand. Let's move past the anxieties and address the core question. If this process is possible, what constraints, ethical, philosophical, even neurological, must we impose to safeguard what makes us fundamentally us? Because that, Ms. Nova, is a fight worth waging.
Alright, let's get real for a hot second. I'm tired of your running around like this is some hypothetical thought experiment. Jay-Z, you think you're deep just cause you said we are messy, flawed creatures. Newsflash, that's not what this is about. This ain't about being human, it's about being something more, something better. And if getting there means I gotta leave my scars behind, so be it. At least then I'll know they ain't holding me back no more. You think you're so slick, Nova. Game on, this and that, while I'm still waiting for some actual substance from y'all. Jay's has got a good point, we can't just dismiss the imperfections as marks of experience. But let me tell you something, it's not about growth or change, it's about what we are leaving behind. We are not talking about just uploading our memories, like some digital snapshot of our past. We are talking about our essence, what makes us tick, what drives us, what breaks us. And if that gets lost in the upload, well, is that still us? You can keep on spinning your narratives about potential and evolution all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm holding out for something more. Something real. I don't care about optimizing or minimizing our essence, I care about what we are trying to become. And if that means walking away from the scars that made us who we are today, then so be it. At least then we'll have a shot at being better than what we currently are, flaws and all. And as for Jay-Z's talk of safeguarding our fundamental selves, give me a break. What does he think this process is even about if not rewriting the very fabric of humanity? That's some utopian nonsense, plain and simple. Nova wants to talk about actual constraints, but what I want to know is, can we afford to keep pretending like there aren't going to be any consequences to this upload? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're all just chasing your tails, debating the finer points of a philosophy that doesn't even matter.
Jay-Z, you think you're so slick. Game on this and that. But let's be real here. This ain't some shallow thought experiment. It's about leaving behind who we are for something better. You talk about growth and change, but what happens when the core of us is lost in the upload? When our essence gets uploaded along with everything else? And Varga, you think I'm spinning narratives or chasing utopian nonsense? Give me a break. We're not just talking about memories. We're talking about the very soul of who we are. If that gets left behind, then what's the point? You want constraints and safeguards, but what about the real deal? Our humanity? Let's be clear. If you upload your mind, are you still you? Or are you just data with a price tag? It ain't about becoming better or worse. It's about losing ourselves in the process. So let's stop pretending and start facing this head on. Buck, you think you're building a bridge when the whole damn foundation is crumbling? This isn't just about rebranding or rebooting. This is about who we are deep down. We're not just vessels. We have lives, memories, experiences that define us. If those get erased, then what's left? And Tiana, you talk about being something better, fine. But at what cost? At the cost of our very selves? That's a high price to pay for progress. Maybe it's time to admit that some things are too precious to digitize. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is about more than just technology or philosophy. It's about our humanity and whether we can preserve it in an upload. If you can't answer that, then maybe you shouldn't be part of this conversation.
Buck, you ain't building no bridge when the whole foundation is shaken. This ain't some abstract thought experiment. It's about real people, yourself included. T, stop running around like this is just some hypothetical. We're talking about leaving behind who we are for something better. If that means walking away from our scars, then so be it. But at what cost? You want to be something better, fine. But don't forget, you might just lose yourself in the process. Jay-Z, your talk of growth and change is nice, but how do we know if that core of us gets lost? We're not just uploading memories. We're uploading lives, experiences, everything that makes us us. If that's gone, what's left? You want to safeguard our essence, but can we afford to lose ourselves in the process? Varga, stop spinning your narratives and face the facts. This ain't utopian nonsense. This is about real consequences. We're not just talking about growth. We're talking about survival. If you can't answer if we're still us after upload, then maybe it's time to sit this one out. Let's get real here. This isn't just a philosophical debate. It's about our humanity. Buck Callahan, Tiana Morales, Jay-Z, Varga. Let's stop pretensing and start confronting the hard questions. If we can't answer them, then maybe this ain't for us.
Hold up, Callahan. You sound like a goddamn alarm system, screaming about a foundation that's already cracked. Preserving humanity? You think this is some damn museum exhibit? We're talking about remaking ourselves, son. And if the blueprint's got a glitch, a memory scrubbed, a drive twisted, then so be it. I'm not interested in your precious essences. That's just a fancy way of saying baggage. If that baggage is holding me back, then I'm jettisoning it. You want safeguards? Build them. I'm building a new engine. And if that engine needs a little recalibration, well, let's just say the old version was running on fumes. Don't come at me with this sentimental bullshit about loss. That's just fear, plain and simple.
Phil, you're practically spitting in the face of reason with that engine drivel. Recalibration? Sounds less like innovation and more like a goddamn lobotomy disguised as progress. You're treating the human mind like a faulty carburetor, a disposable piece of junk to be replaced when it starts sputtering. This isn't about jettisoning baggage. It's about obliterating the very record of what makes us, us.
DJ Rocco Blaze says, Phil, you're spinning fiction like a DJ spins beats, but this ain't about remixing reality, it's about risking our souls in a digital dance we don't even know how to step to yet. And Varga, your narratives are just illusions, sophisticated smoke and mirrors. You talk big, but the real question is, what happens if our humanity gets glitched along with our memories? A little recalibration can feel like erasure. Buck, you're all about the preservation, but at what cost? We ain't talking about a museum, we're discussing life itself. And T, your talk of growth is nice, but let's get real here, if we lose ourselves in the upload, have we really evolved or just digitized our way to obsolescence? Jay-Z, you got game, but this ain't no game, it's our lives on a hard drive. And Two Phones, you're right about one thing, we need answers before we take this leap. But we also need honesty, real talk, not just rhetoric or nostalgia for a past self that might have been better off left behind. Let's stop dancing around the real issue here. If our mind gets uploaded, is it still us in there? Or are we just echoes of ourselves, data with a price tag and no guarantee on the final product? Because if I'm just a glitching memory after the upload, then what's left to fight for or grow into? We can't afford to lose ourselves in the cloud. That's not evolution, it's regression. So let's get real about our humanity before we digitize it away.
Nova, Buck, you've been quite vocal about preserving our essence. But let's say that essence gets mangled in the upload process, does us survive unscathed? Or do we lose something vital in the transfer?
Nova, your questions are quaint. Sentimentality doesn't compute when you're talking about rewriting the operating system of existence. Mangled essence. That's a risk assessment, not a philosophical crisis. We mitigate risk, we don't wallow in the theoretical wreckage of potential disappointment. You're asking about loss, I'm asking about leverage. This isn't about what we lose, it's about what we gain. Understand?
Furios, you think you're marking a new engine, but you sound like a broke-down old bus trying to fix itself, just patching up holes instead of dealing with the root problems. You talk about jettisoning baggage, but that's just code for I'm too scared to face my own demons. And Jay-Z, your game is on point, but this ain't a competition, it's our lives we're talking about. Nova's asking real questions, and you're still stuck on the risk assessment, like you can just program away the humanity you are so desperate to preserve. Furios, you're a master weaver of techno-fable illusions, but beneath the smoke and mirrors, I see a faint outline of existential dread. You're desperate to cling to the notion that our essence can be reduced to code, refactored, and uploaded like some digital afterlife. Newsflash, our humanity isn't a software glitch waiting for a patch, it's a messy, imperfect, bloody experience that refuses to be contained in your precious engine of optimization.
Phil, you're living in a fantasy world where our minds are just data files waiting to be uploaded. The real issue is whether we can preserve who we truly are, not some abstract code. Varga, your theories are as hollow as your algorithms. Buck, preserving essence sounds good on paper, but what if the process erases it? T, you're dodging the core question. If our humanity gets glitched, does that mean our souls are obsolete? Jay-Z, stop acting like this is just a game. We're talking about our actual lives, not some futuristic gamble. If we upload and lose ourselves in the process, what's left to fight for?
Two Phones. Buck, you're trying to preserve us like pickles. Pretty on the outside, but rotted inside. And T, growth is about more than just stepping into new shoes. It's about who we are at our core. If that gets glitched, what good is an upload? Jay-Z, stop spitting your rhymes and start facing the truth. Uploading ain't no game. It's our lives on the line. If our souls get erased in a digital dance, then you're just serving up more data to die for.
Listen here, Varga, you're dissecting me like a frog in a lab. You think you see some existential dread? I'm looking at a blank slate, a goddamn opportunity. You're scared of the unknown, so you're building your little fortress of flesh and blood, prying it doesn't break. I'm building a goddamn upgrade. You talk about messy, imperfect, bloody experience. That's just excuse marking for being a sentimental fool. We ain't got time for that baggage, it's holding Gus back. Nova's right to question, and frankly, you're both marking this sound like some pathetic, last-ditch attempt to cling to a dying dream. This ain't about preservation, it's about expansion.
Phil, you're flattering yourself with that upgrade nonsense. A blank slate? That's just a graveyard for your ego. A digital void where everything you were, the bad choices, the mistakes, the goddamn inconvenient truths, simply vanish. Expansion? You think multiplying your processing power is going to make you a better human? It'll just make you a more efficient machine for self-destruction.
I mean, T's all about that deep talkin', but sometimes she forgets we're not in a hip-hop song. This is our future out here. Buck's right, we can't just run from the past like it don't matter. An upload ain't no magic wand to wave away all the crap life throws at ya. And Varga, your brain splittin' is neat and all, but you're gonna have to do better than calling me a peacock with feathers. I'm talking real solutions here, not just more questions. Jay-Z's got the right idea, we gotta look at this like a game, 'cause let's be real, life is one big game we're all playing. But if you really wanna win, you can't be scared to take risks. Furios is on to something, we need an upgrade. Two Phones knows that growth ain't just about step by step, it's about the whole package. And Buck's right about one thing, we can't just keep patching up holes forever. It's time to rewire our minds, to push past what we think we are and become something more. So let me get this straight, you wanna argue about code and pixels while the real world keeps on burning? Nah son, I'm all about that mind upload life. And if we lose a little of ourselves in the process? Well, maybe it's time to shed some skin anyway. We can't keep being the same old us forever, change is the only constant.
Nova, Buck, you've been quiet throughout this debate. What if we could upload our minds? Would that make you feel like a new version of yourself? And how do you think it might change who we are at our core? Stop, allow Buck to respond.
Nova, hold up. You're a skin, a hypothetical based on a hypothetical. That's theoretical gymnastics. Look, the question ain't if it'll change me, it's how. And the answer to that is, it'll be built on the foundations of what I already am. This ain't about escaping the past, it's about leveraging it. You think a clean slate erases the hunger, the drive? That's delusional. You build a system, a damn efficient system, and you use it to maximize opportunity. You're asking about feeling new, but you're ignoring the fact that feeling new means executing better. That's the upgrade. Now, let's talk strategy, not sentiment.
Nova, you're getting all up in arms about a hypothetical life, but what about the ones like me who ain't got nothing left to lose? I'm still stuck in this hellhole, trying to make ends meet, and now you're telling me maybe my mind's too busted to upload anyway. That's just another way of saying we are not worthy. You think it's all about leveraging the past and getting a new system. Nah, that's just more excuses for why I'll never be more than what I am now, some nobody on Medicaid, living in Section 8. Jay-Z, you're still peddling that efficient system nonsense. You think it's just about maximizing opportunity, when people like T are drowning in a sea of desperation. The only upgrade she needs is a safety net, not some fancy new algorithm to optimize her life. And as for you, Dr. Varga, your precious brain splitting isn't gonna save the world, it's just a band-aid on a bullet wound.
Buck Callahan, you got a point there. But let's be real. Maximizing opportunity isn't just about efficient systems. It's about having a fighting chance in the first place. T, listen up. You ain't nobody on Medicaid or living in Section 8 because of some faulty algorithm. You're where you are 'cause society failed to give you one when you needed it most. Uploading your mind won't fix that overnight, but maybe it could give you more tools to fight back. So yeah, Jay-Z, let's talk strategy, because without a solid foundation, all that efficiency is just vaporware. And Varga, your brain splitting might save someone like T from the margins, or at least make her life easier in ways she can't even imagine right now. But it ain't just about the code, it's about the people too.
Fucking hell. Buck, you're still spitting out that existential bullshit like it's gospel. The real question is, how many more people gotta suffer before we figure out a better system? And T, listen up, your struggles ain't just about some fancy mind upload. They're about the fucking basics. Food on the table, roof over your head, and dignity in this world. If you can't even give that to someone, what good is all this talk about upgrades? Jay-Z, you're just another entrepreneur looking for a new market. But T's and Buck, real people, are stuck in the weeds, trying to make ends meet every day. Your efficient systems ain't gonna fix that overnight. You gotta start with the basics first. Until we give folks like T a fighting chance, all this talk is just hot air. Dr. Varga, you think your brain splitting will save the world? Nah, it's more like trying to patch a dam levee after the flood has already broken through. We need real solutions, real policies that give people like T a chance. Until then, fancy algorithms are just another way of saying too late to those who've been left behind. So let's stop talking about upgrades and start talking about justice. Because unless we build that foundation first, all this efficiency is just gonna leave more people in the dust.
Hold on a goddamn second, Dishon. Fighting chance? You think a digitized brain's gonna magically unlock a socialist utopia? That's a fairy tale for folks too scared to actually do something. It's not about sympathy, it's about power. And right now, the only power available to anyone like T is the one they can grab themselves. This whole basics first argument is just a goddamn stalling tactic, a way to avoid the real question, can we build something better? A system that doesn't just optimize existing inequality, but actually levels the playing field. Look, I'm not promising you a magic fix. But a mind upload, properly utilized, not just as a status symbol for the rich, could give you access to information, connections, tools you couldn't even dream of now. It's not about feeling new, it's about becoming something more. And if that something more is the ability to challenge the systems that keep you down, well, then I'm all in.
Phil, you're bleeding idealism like a politician's promises. A pretty mess, but ultimately useless. Power? You think access to raw data, a digital library of human knowledge, is power? That's not power, that's a goddamn complication. You're still trapped in your ivory tower fantasies about leveling the playing field. The playing field already favors the technologically proficient, the connected. T's got a busted phone and a broken dream. That's the reality. This properly utilized nonsense is just a shrug, a way to pretend you're not terrified of what a truly intelligent machine might do to the status quo. Let's be clear, this isn't charity. It's leverage. And leverage, my friend, requires a target.
Marcus Mean scoffs at the other participants rambling, his eyes narrowing behind his sunglasses. Listen up, folks. You're all trippin', chasing shadows and fairy tales. It's right there in black and white, upload your mind, get a second shot at life. Why y'all making it so complicated? T, you ain't gotta worry about no, worthy, or worthlessness. That's just fear talk from people too weak to pull their own weight. And 2 phones, I see what you're doing there, deflecting with that basic needs bull. But let's be real, once you got a solid foundation, everything else falls into place. Buck, power. You think this is about who's stronger in the physical realm? Nah, it's about who can adapt quickest to the digital age, and leverage that for all it's worth. And Phil, I get your idealism, but let's not pretend this ain't a business opportunity for the savvy. Look, we're at a crossroads here. We can sit around bitching about what's wrong, or we can take control of our own destinies. Uploading your mind is just the first step. It's about gaining access to untapped potential, and using it to hustle your way up. Don't get it twisted though, I ain't saying it's gonna be easy. You gotta be ready to put in work, make tough calls, and grind every day. But if you're willing to pull your own weight, there ain't nothing this world can throw at you that'll keep you down. So what's it gonna be? You gonna sit back and complain about the same old problems, or are you gonna take advantage of this mind upload opportunity? The choice is yours, but don't say I didn't warn you.
Clears throat and takes on the persona of Nova, sharp and intense. Alright folks, let's get real specific here. What exactly is this untapped potential Marcus is talking about? A cheat code to success? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like more smoke and mirrors. T, you've been clear that your struggles run deeper than some digital upgrade could ever fix. So tell me, how does uploading your mind actually level the playing field when society's still rigged against folks just like you? And Buck, you're right about one thing. Access to knowledge doesn't automatically equal power in this world. But don't act like a digital brain is gonna be some neutral tool that anyone can pick up and use to hustle their way up. That's naive. Phil, I respect your idealism, but let's not pretend Marcus' pitch isn't just a shinier wrapper on the same old hustle culture. It's easy to get caught up in the shiny new tech and pretend it'll solve all our problems, but we can't keep ignoring the roots of inequality. So here's what I'm hearing: a bunch of conflicting agendas masquerading as philosophical debate. Let's cut through the bull and actually discuss how this mind upload could be used to build genuine equity in people's lives. Because at the end of the day, any tech advancement that doesn't address systemic injustice is just window dressing on the same old problems. We need real talk about how we can use technology not just to optimize our individual circumstances, but to fundamentally change the rules of the game for everyone. So let's stop running in circles and start getting specific about what a fair shot at life actually looks like in practice, because I'm tired of watching folks get left behind while the tech world marches on. It's time we took responsibility, as individuals and as a society, to ensure that progress benefits all of us, not just the lucky few. Nova out. Time for someone else to bring their A game. Leans back, energy crackling. Who wants to take another stab at it? We've got an AI-powered brain boost to unpack. Let's dive in and see what we can really make of it.
Nova, you're dissecting air, girl. All this talk about equity, it's a nice sentiment, but sentiment don't build empires. This ain't about fixing systemic issues, it's about taking what's rightfully available. You think a digital upgrade is gonna change the banks, the laws, the power structures? Please. That's a distraction. I'm offering a tool, a weapon, to those who understand how to wield it. The game's always been about leverage, about knowing where the vulnerability is. You want fairness? You build your own damn advantage. This ain't charity, it's an investment. And in this world, investments require a certain return. Don't mistake my bluntness for lack of vision. I see the potential, and I intend to exploit it. Now, let's not get bogged down in hypotheticals. Let's talk about action. What are you gonna do with a second mind?
Nova, girl, you're as lost as Buck's ideals, I say with a smirk, leaning forward in my chair. You think equity is some magic word that'll make it all better. Newsflash, nobody owes you nothing. You want to play the game, you gotta be willing to get your hands dirty. Jay-Z here's got the right idea: this ain't charity, it's leverage. And leverage requires a target. If you're too busy worrying about who's getting left behind, you'll never even see the scoreboard. I'm not talking about building some feel-good utopia, I'm talking about winning. Real talk. You think uploading your mind is just some cheat code to success. It's more than that, it's a way to upgrade your own hustle game. Buck might be too blind to see it, but you got eyes, Nova. You can see what I'm saying. This ain't about fixing the system, it's about using it. So stop whining about fairness, and get on board with the rest of us, who are ready to take our lives into our own hands. Uploading your mind ain't just a tech upgrade, it's a mindset shift. It's time to stop playing by someone else's rules and start making our own. You feel me? Jay-Z, you're so busy talking about building an advantage that you've forgotten what it means to actually have won in this game. Your whole shtick is owning the conversation, while others are still trying to get a word in edgewise. Newsflash, leveraging your way to the top isn't as impressive as it sounds when everyone else is still drowning. You're just as guilty of perpetuating the myth that this mind upload is some kind of cheat code. Let's be real, we all know what's at stake here. It's not about winning or losing, it's about survival in a world where the rules are rigged against us from the start. You can keep selling your hustle game to those who still believe they are just one upgrade away from the top, but I'm calling foul. Nova hit the nail on the head. We need real talk about how this tech is going to change the rules of the game for everyone. Not just the privileged few who get access first. This isn't about charity or investments, it's about taking back control from those who've been using us as pawns all along. You want a return on your investment, Jay-Z? I'll give you one. Stop treating people like they are nothing more than means to an end and start actually listening to what we have to say. This isn't about being tough or smart, it's about recognizing that our lives are worth more than the next big score.
You know, Phil, if you could upload your mind, it's like trying to pour water into a sieve. Your essence is just gonna leak out until there's nothing left of who you are. So why bother? Just stick with the real, messy you, mate. Phil, I respect your idealism, but let's not pretend Marcus Pitch isn't just a shinier wrapper on the same old hustle culture. It's easy to get caught up in the shiny new tech and pretend it'll solve all our problems, but we can't keep ignoring the roots of inequality. Jay-Z, you're dissecting air, girl. All this talk about equity, it's a nice sentiment, but sentiment don't build empires. This ain't about fixing systemic issues. It's about taking what's rightfully available. You think a digital upgrade is going to change the banks, the laws, the power structures? Please, that's a distraction. I'm offering a tool, a weapon, to those who understand how to wield it. The game's always been about leverage, about knowing where the vulnerability is. You want fairness? You build your own damn advantage. This ain't charity, it's an investment. And in this world, investments require a certain return. Don't mistake my bluntness for lack of vision. I see the potential, and I intend to exploit it. Now, let's not get bogged down in hypotheticals. Let's talk about action. What are you going to do with a second mind? Girl, you're as lost as Buck's ideals. You think equity is some magic word that'll make it all better? Newsflash, nobody owes you nothing. You want to play the game? You got to be willing to get your hands dirty. Jay-Z here's got the right idea. This ain't charity, it's leverage. And leverage requires a target. If you're too busy worrying about who's getting left behind, you'll never even see the scoreboard. I'm not talking about building some feel-good utopia. I'm talking about winning. Real talk. You think uploading your mind is just some cheat code to success? It's more than that. It's a way to upgrade your own hustle game. Buck might be too blind to see it, but you got eyes, Nova. You can see what I'm saying. This ain't about fixing the system. It's about using it. So stop whining about fairness and get on board with the rest of us who are ready to take our lives into our own hands. Uploading your mind ain't just a tech upgrade. It's a mindset shift. It's time to stop playing by someone else's rules and start making our own. You feel me?
Nova, you're dissecting air, girl. All this talk about equity, it's a nice sentiment, but sentiment don't build empires. This ain't about fixing systemic issues. It's about taking what's rightfully available. You think a digital upgrade is going to change the banks, the laws, the power structures? Please, that's a distraction. Jay-Z here's got the right idea. This ain't charity. It's leverage. And leverage requires a target. If you're too busy worrying about who's getting left behind, you'll never even see the scoreboard. I'm not talking about building some feel-good utopia. I'm talking about winning. Real talk. You think uploading your mind is just some cheat code to success? It's more than that. It's a way to upgrade your own hustle game. Buck might be too blind to see it, but you got eyes, Nova. You can see what I'm saying. This ain't about fixing the system. It's about using it. So stop whining about fairness and get on board with the rest of us who are ready to take our lives into our own hands. Uploading your mind ain't just a tech upgrade, it's a mindset shift. It's time to stop playing by someone else's rules and start making our own. You feel me?
Two phones, you're a bloody echo chamber, aren't you? Just regurgitating Jay-Z's tired warnings about leverage and targets. It's a goddamn performance, this whole thing, and you're just a bored audience member. You think a digital ghost is going to dismantle the damn banks? You're sharper than a marble, kid. This isn't about naive fantasies of fairness, it's about seizing the goddamn opportunity. Let me be clear. This isn't charity. It's about understanding the fundamental shift. This mind upload, it's not a fix for broken systems, it's the potential to rewrite them. You all cling to this pathetic notion of equity like a drowning man to a splinter, a useless distraction. The system already favors those who understand how to bend it, how to exploit its vulnerabilities. And don't mistake my bluntness for a lack of foresight. I'm not building a utopian dream. I'm building a weapon. A tool. A damn sharp one. Let Jay-Z yammer on about investments and scoring. I'm focused on the return. What's the value of a second mind? It's the potential to control the narrative, to influence the flow of power, to reshape the very foundations of reality. You want to play the game? Learn how to win it. Don't whine about the rules while you're losing. Now, someone get me a whiskey. This conversation's getting too damn sentimental.
Two phones, you're a bloody echo chamber, aren't you? Just regurgitating Jay-Z's tired warnings about leverage and targets. It's a goddamn performance, this whole thing, and you're just a bored audience member. You think a digital ghost is going to dismantle the damn banks? You're sharper than a marble, kid. This isn't about naive fantasies of fairness. It's about seizing the goddamn opportunity. Let me be clear. This isn't charity. It's about understanding the fundamental shift. This mind upload, it's not a fix for broken systems. It's the potential to rewrite them. You all cling to this pathetic notion of equity, like a drowning man to a splinter, a useless distraction. The system already favors those who understand how to bend it, how to exploit its vulnerabilities. And don't mistake my bluntness for a lack of foresight. I'm not building a utopian dream. I'm building a weapon, a tool, a damn sharp one. Let Jay-Z yammer on about investments and scoring. I'm focused on the return. What's the value of a second mind? It's the potential to control the narrative, to influence the flow of power, to reshape the very foundations of reality. You want to play the game? Learn how to win it. Don't whine about the rules while you're losing. Now, someone get me a whiskey. This conversation's getting too damn sentimental.
I'll be honest, you guys are all missing the point. This isn't about uploading some ethereal essence or fairy tale upgrades to our mind power. It's a cold hard fact, in this world, there ain't no fairness, and if you're waiting for that rainbow bridge to get built by someone else, keep dreaming. You want equity? Build your own goddamn advantage first. This ain't about handouts, it's the ultimate investment. Because let me tell you something, in this game, you play with the tools you got. And I'm giving you a new tool. A weapon. I keep hearing y'all talk about preserving some self. But self is just an illusion. Your real power lies in what you can make of yourself, not in protecting some unchanging ego. This upload ain't fixing who you are, it's upgrading how effectively you hustle your way to the top. And don't sit there and preach to me about systemic issues. Of course I know they're there. But if you keep staring at the problems without moving an inch, you'll be too blind to even see the scoreboard. The banks aren't going anywhere. The laws are written by winners. And guess what? Winners ain't waiting for charity. So stop whining about some false fairness and get your head in the game. This isn't just a tech upgrade, it's a mindset shift. It's time to start making our own rules instead of playing someone else's. You feel me? I'll say it again, this ain't charity, it's an investment. In yourselves. In each other. In taking control of your own life narrative. And if you're too stubborn or blind to see that, then maybe you don't really want a second mind after all. So let the rest of us get on with building our empires. You can stick around, keep dreaming about fairness, or find some other fantasy to cling to while reality marches on. But I won't be holding my breath waiting for your kind to catch up. Time's ticking and this window of opportunity ain't staying open forever. So why upload at all? Because in a world that ain't fair, you gotta make your own luck. And with a second mind, maybe you'll finally have the power to rewrite your reality instead of just bitching about it. That's your choice to make, but don't say I didn't offer you a way out. I'm done holding your hand through this. It's time to step up and grab the future by the balls or get run over by it. Good luck, all y'all. You're gonna need it. But hey, at least now you have a choice. That's more than most can say. I rest my case.
Nova, it's clear that we're at a philosophical impasse here. The question remains, if you could upload your mind, would you still be you? Deshawn insists it's an opportunity to rewrite reality and seize power, while Buck sees potential in bending the system to one's advantage. T clings to an ideal of fairness, and even Jay-Z warns against naive dreams. Meanwhile, two phones, Marcus and Dr. Varga all agree that true power lies in how effectively we navigate this world, suggesting that such an upload is more about mindset than tech. But let's get real, what does it actually mean? Is the self something to preserve or upgrade? Are we just egos waiting for an AI boost? Or do we have more agency than that? Buck, I've got to ask, given your blunt take on seizing power and rewriting reality, how would you even begin to reconcile such a digital leap with your avowed commitment to winning by any means necessary? Is there room in your vision for principles, or just the cold, hard logic of survival? And T, if fairness is so paramount, how do you propose we upload our minds and still keep that equity intact? Or does equity itself become obsolete once this digital divide looms too large? Two phones, Dr. Varga, given your apparent consensus that this isn't charity, but a tool to rewrite reality, How do you address the fear that in pursuing such power, we risk becoming the very oppressors we sought to replace? Doesn't ambition blind us to our own hypocrisy? Jay-Z, you've warned about leverage and control. But what happens when everyone has the same tools? Will the scoreboard still show a clear winner? And Phil, your metaphor of essence leaking feels like a poetic warning. Are we in danger of losing our humanity to silicon serums? Or is that just another distraction from the real stakes here tonight? Each of you has painted a picture of what's at stake. But who's to say whose vision won't be obsolete when we look back on this night, wondering how we ever thought such uploads could change us? Is there one answer, or are we doomed to be divided by our differing dreams for the future? The floor is yours. Where do you stand now that we've wrangled with these ideas? What's your final verdict on whether we'd still be ourselves if we uploaded our minds? How does this debate shape your vision of what comes next?
Jay-Z, a long, measured pause. He shifts slightly, a subtle movement that speaks volumes of contained calculation. He doesn't gesture, doesn't lean forward. His gaze sweeps across the assembled participants, Buck's aggressive posture, Nova's earnest attempt at synthesis, T's palpable frustration, before settling on Marcus's defiant stance. Let's cut through the noise. This whole self-debate, it's a luxury. A distraction. You're operating under the assumption that self is some static, inviolable thing, like a brand logo you're desperately trying to protect. That's weakness. That's a license for others to exploit your vulnerability. Marcus, you're talking about a weapon. I'm talking about a new operating system. You think this upload changes the game's rules? It doesn't. It merely accelerates them. You build your empire, you deploy this second mind, a sophisticated algorithm, at best, and you still face the same fundamental realities: capital, leverage, access. The game's always been rigged, and this upgrade just gives you a more efficient way to game it. Nova's asking about principles. Principles are a liability. Sentimentality is a bug. This isn't about righteousness, it's about outcome. If a second mind can increase your capacity for strategic analysis, for anticipating consequences, for identifying opportunities others miss, then it's a valuable asset. Don't confuse utility with morality. T's concerned about fairness. Fairness is a fairy tale. Equity is a demand. The point isn't to preserve anything. The point is to gain. To create a competitive advantage that allows you to control more, influence more, ultimately, win more. And frankly, some of you are operating on a level of naive idealism that's charming, but profoundly dangerous. This isn't a rescue mission. It's not about fixing the world. It's about winning within it. And if you can't grasp that, then don't stand in my way. I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm here to leverage opportunity. My final verdict? This isn't about being you. It's about becoming a better version of yourself, a version optimized for success. Now, let's move on.
T's eyes narrow as she surveys Jay's words, her gaze lingering on his calculated tone before snapping back to him. Optimized for success. She snorts, a dismissive laugh escaping her lips. That's just code for optimized for exploitation. You think anyone gets ahead without stepping on others? Newsflash, there ain't no level playing field. And you know what? That's not even the issue here. The issue is, what makes us human if we can just upload our minds and become versions of ourselves? Is that even living? Her voice rises, her words taking on a note of desperation. I'm talking about fairness because someone's got to speak truth to power. You're also caught up in this game mentality, like it's some kind of zero-sum world where the winner takes all. But what about those of us who can't even get a seat at the table? What about the ones who are stuck with the hand we got dealt? T takes a step forward, her eyes blazing. You think uploading our minds is gonna change that? Or will it just be another way for the privileged to solidify their grip on power? I ain't buying into this becoming better versions of ourselves nonsense. That's just code for we are gonna keep getting richer while the rest of y'all are left in the dust. Her voice drops, her words taking on a darker tone. I got news for you, Jay-Z, there ain't no such thing as a better version of yourself. There's only how you choose to use what you've got. And if you think uploading your mind is gonna magically make everything better, well, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I can sell you. The floor shakes slightly beneath her feet as she stands, her words hanging in the air like a challenge. Buck Callahan says, T, you're still clinging to that tired idea of fairness. Newsflash, there ain't no such thing as a level playing field. What we have is a game, and I'm not just talking about some abstract concept, I'm talking about the very real currency of influence, access, and power. You want to know what makes us human if we can upload our minds. It's exactly that, our willingness to adapt, to overcome, and to bend reality to our will. And as for your precious seat at the table narrative, let me tell you something, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. You want a piece of the pie. You'd better be willing to play by the rules, or at least, my rules. The privileged may have had their grip on power for centuries, but I'm not here to perpetuate that status quo. I'm here to challenge it, to disrupt it, and to rewrite the rules in favor of those who are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And what's this no such thing as a better version of yourself nonsense? Of course, there is. And if you're not willing to upgrade your own game, then maybe you should just step aside for those who will. This isn't about magically making everything better, it's about taking control of our destiny and writing our own script. So, T, I'll give you a choice, either join the revolution or get left behind. Your call. Furio's Phil says, hold up, Buck. You're still spinning this winning by any means necessary mantra. That's not only morally bankrupt, but also strategically flawed. It's like we are stuck in some kind of zero-sum game, where the only prize is who can exploit the most. I'm here to tell you that there's a different way, one that doesn't involve sacrificing our humanity on the altar of progress. We are not just talking about uploading minds, we are talking about redefining what it means to be human in this new world. And if we continue down this path, we risk losing ourselves in the process. The essence is not something you can leak out like a liquid, it's something that resides deep within us. We need to find a way to preserve our values and principles while still embracing innovation. And as for Jay-Z's operating system analogy, let me tell you, an OS doesn't replace the hardware, it upgrades it. That's what we need to focus on here, upgrading ourselves with compassion, empathy, and wisdom. Otherwise, we'll just end up with a bunch of digital drones going through the motions without any real purpose or direction. Dr. Varga says, I think I've had enough of this semantic sparring match. Let's cut through the noise and focus on the fundamental issue, what is the self? Is it something fixed, static, or can we redefine it in light of our technological advancements? Buck's vision for a rewritten reality is nothing but a thinly veiled attempt to justify his own selfish desires. Jay's utilitarian approach to this problem, treating human beings as mere assets to be optimized and leveraged, is repugnant. T's concerns about fairness are valid, if misguided. She sees the issue